Motorsport here for round 7 and 8 of the Pro Championship. We're here in America for the first race of the season, or the first of 4 visits, should I say, this season. It is the Circuit of the Americas that is the track for today. I'm your host, Matthew Duffin, joined in the commentary box by PN Motorsport. PN, good evening.
Good evening, Matt.
I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm not a fan of COTA, so...
No, that makes two of us.
Interesting. It's going to be interesting with a tyre heat, though, in the track tent.
Yeah, it will be indeed. So just to let you know that I will be in the box every Thursday from now on. I've pulled myself from the season, so therefore I will be in the box every Thursday evening to bring you the broadcast for the championship this year. And talking of the championship, it's Dan Davis who leads the way at the moment by 31 points from Michael Harris, who's having a brilliant season at the moment. Then it is Jamal Cloud in P3 with Overtaker currently sat in 4th place. He's yet to go out and set a lap time in, and that, even though the track's optimum, we see Overtaker tend to wait for that track to go into its optimum stage, could be very beneficial tonight. 10 sets of tyres, you do not want to go through any sets here, or as little sets in the first practice session. After him, it is Alex Powell, currently sat up in 5th place. Then it is myself. RB Racing is P7 with Sky Schundelmeyer P8. Nikita P9 with Wesley Kuiper P10. Gary Leach is P11. With Gary Burton P12, not here tonight. Congratulations on the birth of your baby girl once again. Insert coin is P13 from Tobias Hoffer. Matteo Pessina? Matteo Pessina is P15 from Mike Matthews with O'Reilly 17th, Ian Gray 18th, Mitch Rivercannon P19, GT Jimbo P20. Then it is Ben, Dennis Newman, Flem Speed 1, Gary Clarble, Sauber, Ramey Fernie, Matthew, Simon, Fuchs, Sullivan, Rasenberg and Eckholt. And speaking of Rasenberg and Eckholt, they are brand new drivers to the championship today. Obviously, we had Wesley Kuiper last week, and we had Ben, who's out there as well. Today we have Michael Eckholt. Rasenberg not here today, so will not be able to take to the grid. If you're looking for an update about yesterday, we don't have any. At the minute, it is being decided by the admins. We are letting the drivers vote for who they want or what they want to happen, whether that is to take off points or to rerun the race at the end of the season. There was a third option of just abandon it all and leave it, and yeah, so we're in discussions at the moment. The drivers are deciding. It is currently a 15-12 to take the half points, and that will be decided quickly so that we know for tickets and for points for the championship. So if you watched last night, yes, then we have no update at the minute. Keep your eyes out on the social medias or Discord for what you need to keep your eye out for in terms of race results. Yeah, not a lot really to speak about, Pian, apart from the fact that we're at this American circuit that is, it caused problems last night with the temperatures. It's going to cause problems again tonight, you feel?
Yeah, well, it's going to make tyre choice very interesting, especially in the hour-long race. Do you pit? When you pit, do you put a new set of tyres on and have that benefit later in the race? Or do you try to stick it out on the original set, which are going to be screaming at you by the end of the race? Yeah,
exactly, and that's pretty much what is the choice today. Good evening to Outlaws Motorcycle Club, who says Denmark in the chat. Tracy, good evening to see you. Home circuit for Sky Schundelmeyer tonight. I protect, good evening. Jacob Bontrager. Apologies if I butchered your surname. Good evening to you. He is potentially going to be a commentator at SimPlay Motorsport in the future, so we hope to hear his voice on the comms. Good evening to Fury's granddad. Tony, keep me updated on the cricket, please, in the chat, so that we know who's doing what in the World Cup. Good evening to NRT Sammy, who says, let's go insert coin. And good evening as well to PN Motorsport. But it's going to be an interesting one out here tonight, PN, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, I find COTA a set-up nightmare, because you've got them nice long straights. If you look at the mini-map, you've got the 2 nice long straights, but then you've got all like the Beckett's Maggots bit copy. Let's face it, it's a copy, and like the Istanbul corner, the Hockenheim corner.
You also got a bit of China, haven't you, with that back straight and the hairpin?
Yeah, and that's when you need the downforce. So that's why I don't like it. I don't like circuits like that.
You have more than one setup, really, don't you, for this track? Because, like you've just said, it is a copy, and it is basically All the best parts of the circuit rolled into one.
Well, if you like this place.
Well, yeah, but it is, though, isn't it? We've got Maggotsbeck, it's fantastic part of Silverstone. You've got the Istanbul section, great part of the Turkey track. We've got that bit of Hockenheim, which is good. Tricky, but good. You've got that China bit. So it's all just kind of thrown into one. And I've just brought the map X bigger on the screen so you can see exactly what we're talking about here. Where Cloudon's going into now, he's currently going through the Maggots-Beckett section of the circuit. And then this is where you really come up to. I don't know what part of the track this will be.
Yeah, but it is. Here you need downforce because you need the car to stick on the track. Now you need a adjustable aero.
Yeah,
which is what F1's getting in 2026.
And you need a setup that is going all around. Good evening to NRT Gomez in the chat. Let's go insert coin. It's great to see insert coin with the NRT team all in the chat, cheering him on. And what can he do in his Honda? Great to see a Honda on the circuit. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up as well to like the stream, and hit that bell to be notified when we go live. We'll be back live next week. We're staying stateside. We go, though, to Indianapolis. Bit of a better racetrack here in America. Might be a bit cooler. Thunderstorms are around at the moment.
Ooh, and because we're not on the oval, it won't be rained off. I'm looking at you, IndyCar. Or NASCAR.
Yeah, or delayed, should we say, is what IndyCar was this year. But yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one. Wesley Kuiper, though, PM, we saw him go well at Brands Hatch last time out. Double win, if I remember, last time out at Brands Hatch. He's got a lot of work to do tonight, though.
He has, yeah, because can he repeat it again? Because he starts a bit further down the grid now. A lot further down the grid now for the start of for race, what number was it? 1.
Race round 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, as well, sorry, just to point out that their drop scores will take place this week for Ben and Wesley. So Wesley pretty much a perfect week last week. His score tonight, unless it replicates that one or with a fastest lap with a pole position, might be his drop score.
It might be.
Because obviously, with them being new, they don't take the drop score of previous weeks.
No, and which would be the case for Michael. Oh, gosh, how do you say that surname?
Michael, where are we looking?
Car 33.
Car 33. Eckholt.
Eckholt, yeah. Yeah, because this is first round. I'm liking the green and orange. I like that. They're very PN colours.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do.
Very PN colours.
Indeed they are.
Season when I can race.
Good evening to Micro J's in the chat. Let's hope there'll be a few more magic moments. There'll be some magic moments on the mic, that's for sure. Also, Jay, I know what that's in reference to. I've got a massive smile on my face. And we'll have a chat later in the party. Thanks for that.
I have no idea.
No, you have no idea. Hopefully you will stay to have no idea, because it was something that Emily found while cleaning the other day. It was an old tape recorder from my grandma's, who passed away the other year. And as part of, when we was cleaning the house out, ready for sale, I took a few bits with me. And that was one of the bits I took. On it, there was the cassette of me and my brother back when we was young, and yeah, let's put it this way, we did our own little radio show. Right? And Emily actually turned around to me that night and she went, oh, how funny is that? I said, what? She said, well, our David now lives in Australia. He's a videographer and a podcast. If you haven't heard Formula Fools, check it out. Factually incorrect at times, but David, if you're watching, that's no problem. You're getting better. And then I've now gone on to become a professional commentator. And she's like, how funny is that you both sat there, as kids doing this, and now look at what you both do. And it's like, yeah, fair play.
You got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. And James has started, 9-year-old, commentating on his Hot Wheels.
Yeah, he's replacing me next season.
Hey, if it wasn't for his bedtime, he'd be replacing you tonight. In fact, he's at his mum's, so he can't.
And he needs a PS5.
We just use Emily's. The Naval Racing team are in the chat. Great to see good support for Insert Coin tonight. We love this. We love this.
Come on, smash that like button.
Yeah, subscribe and like. Smash it all. Good evening to everybody who is in the chat. looking forward to this race as well. Let's hear from you in the chat. We'll want to hear from you all. Get your votes in on the poll that is currently up as well, if you haven't. And yeah, it's going to be an absolute belter. It is.
Of all the Tilke circuits, I'd rather have Sepang, Istanbul, and Shanghai.
Yeah, the thing with Tilke though was his track started good.
Yeah, because Sepang and Istanbul were the earliest couple, weren't they? And the modifications to the Grand Prix of Circuit Nürburgring was him. And Hockenheim, but they did Hockenheim because...
So what we got? We got Atlanta Motorsport Park, because we're on the grid now. Bahrain is a Tilke. Don't mind Bahrain. Baku.
I don't mind Bahrain.
Detest it. The Bucharest Ring. Don't know much about that. The Buddha International Circuit. I thought the Indian Grand Prix was fantastic.
Oh, what a circuit.
That was a brilliant track.
The Korea circuit was brilliant as well.
The Buriram Circuit. That's in Thailand. Don't know much about that one. COTA we know. Hanoi, which was the Vietnam track. Never happened. The race never happened. It was a god-awful circuit on the game as well. The Agora Drive, that is in Russia. That doesn't look a bad track. Doesn't look great. Istanbul, as we know, fantastic. The Jinkai Street Circuit, that's in Beijing. Don't know much about that. Kandavas Kart Drome, that looks a great go-kart circuit, to be fair, looking at the picture. Korea, fantastic racetrack. The Kuwait Motor Town, that looks a belter. Get that one on a game. The Lippo Village International Formula Circuit, that is in Indonesia. Moscow Raceway, that looks better than Sochi, not going to lie. Motorland Aragon, that's actually a decent circuit, is Aragon. That's a Tilke.
I love Aragon.
Port Imperial Street Circuit, not sure. Red Bull Ring is actually a Tilke circuit, so there we go.
Yeah, he did redesign, didn't he?
There's one in Norway, Rudskogen Motor Centre. That looks a decent track. Sepang, Shanghai, good track. The Solmsken Ring, that looks like Oscherslauben. Sochi, detest it. Sokol, looks like Bahrain, but worse. Valencia Street Circuit, we all know how good that was in Yas Marina. So he's kind of got a bit of a 50-50 kind of thing on his track record, hasn't he?
It's very hit miss here in Tilke.
And if I'm correct, didn't he design the Madrid Street Circuit they're using next year?
I believe so, yes. Well, that's got to be better than Catalunya, right?
Yeah, to be fair, yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be based on the old Madrid circuit that was in Gran Turismo 6. There was a Madrid street circuit on GT6.
I've actually seen it. It's actually an Assetto Corsa run-through of what the track will be. It doesn't look bad. The thing that pushed me off it is obviously just the barriers that surround. What we got in the chat. 35 for 3 after 3.5 overs of Besto out for a duck. Great, fantastic. Done mine, I feel I'm doing Dan last week. I said I'm not looking forward to Brands and got a podium last night. I said I don't like COTA and again got one last night. Pretty much what Dan Davis does. PN race winner though, because while you think of a race winner, we'll run you through the grid order because it's a long formation lap here. Michael Eckholt alongside Remy Fernie, who has a qualifying ban going into the second race. Flem Speed 1 from Ben on the second row of the grid. It is Jim from Ian Gray on row 3. Mike Matthews from Tobias Hoffer, row 4. Row 5 is Insert Coin and Gary Leach. Row 6, Wesley Kuiper and Nikita. Row 7, Sky Schundelmeyer and Richard Breesley. Row 8, Alex Powell and Overtaker. Row 9, Jamal Clouden and Michael Harris. Row 10, Dan Davis and Matteo Pessina, who has a penalty and starts last. He also has a qualifying ban in which Dennis Newman has one as well, but he'll have to serve his next week.
Yeah. Oh, race winner. You can't count Overtaker. He's really good here. If I remember Project Cars 2. So, you can't count an Overtaker, and Flem Speed really is lagging quite hard. He is. So, on my screen. Alex, maybe, home of that. Is he American?
No, he's Portuguese.
But that's because he races in IRL, isn't it? So that's what confused me. Maybe depends how good the Aston is on its tyres.
Well, the Aston looked a pretty good car last night, as did the Ferrari, as did the BMW. Not sure a Honda. The Mustang didn't look bad. The McLaren looked pretty average. But obviously it's driver dependent. So what we did see was a Nissan look pretty good last night. In Michael.
At least Nissan are on the grid now.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah.
Oh.
And technically are on 47 race starts. Any milestones tonight? Just having a look at the milestone list. I believe Overtaker needs 1 pole position for that magic 25. There's nobody getting close to a race start milestone or a podium. And in terms of manufacturers, BMW need 2 poles for 50, but that isn't going to happen tonight. And no, I believe that is that at the minute. Ford, how many Fords are there? There's 2 Fords, 4 races. Ford will go above Jaguar on the list of all-time appearances tonight.
We need Benny back to race in the season.
Yeah.
Because we know he'll enter the Jag.
He'd be in Pro-Am as well. But we're around the final corner now. We're going to start the first race of the evening. And we're about to get it underway. It is Michael Eckholt on pole from Ramy Fernie with Flem Speed 1 just behind, and then Ben P4. What's going to happen, though, as we go down in towards Turn 1, or up towards Turn 1, should we say.
Not as many cars as we had in Pro-Am last night. Pro-Am was what,
full grid, yeah, 28 cars. There's only 20 tonight. We are green and go, though, here. And it is Michael Eckholt who gets a good start. Flem Speed 1's going to try and go with him. And he's going to try and tuck it to the middle of himself and Smokey Devil. They go 3 or 4 abreast as they come up the hill. Ben stays out of trouble. GT Jimbo looks like he's gone through. Gary's gone wide. Gary's got experiences as Ben's dropped the rear. And Ben is right around. That is into a couple of cars. But it is Eckholt who is going to lead the way in towards the S's. From them, Flem Speed 1, Smokey Devil. GT Jimbo is up that order. We're going to stay with Smokey while the order changes now. I think Dan Davis has had a great start. That might be Mike Matthews, though, that I'm looking at. It was Mike Matthews further down the pack. But Ben and Richard Beasley struggling there already. But it's Michael Eckholt from Flem Speed 1, Ramy Fernie. Then it is GT Jimbo, Gary Leach. Watch for the Porsche tonight. Then it's Ian Gray, Mike Matthews, Tobias Hoffer, Sky Schundelmeyer on home soil. From then Nikita. And then that of Overtaker, who's going to look to the inside, getting a good run, dropping down the hill. Side by side with Nikita. There you go. Going wheel to wheel in towards the first of the short left-hand bends. Mike's also looking up the inside of Ian Gray. An Overtaker moved on. Mike Matthews moved on. And that is also possibly Sky Schundelmeyer moved on that of Tobias Hoffer. So already 3 changes at the hairpin. Going great guns at the moment. All these drivers. In fact, Sky Schundelmeyer got that good a run off the corner. He's still side by side with Tobias Hoffer. I thought he was having a look and now hasn't got past Tobias Hoffer, who's now on the outside line. Just showing how good that BMW M6 still is in a straight line. As Gray tries to go around the outside of Mike Matthews. That doesn't work. Sky Schundelmeyer now goes up a place. And Ian Gray taps Mike Matthews. Overtaker and Sky Schundelmeyer are involved in that one as well. And everybody piles through now. There are cars everywhere. But what we can tell you is Michael Eckholt stretching his legs from Ramy Fernie. Gary Leach now sitting on the podium. We've not had Gary in the podium for quite a while. Great job from him. GT Jimbo currently P4 with Mike Matthews in 5th place. No longer in 5th place, actually, I imagine. We'll wait for that to register itself. But PN, it's been a bit of a calm and crazy opening lap.
It has. Well, looking at that turn 1, it looked like Ben just lost the rear. It spun up the rear and close quarters aren't, first corner of a race. It's just unlucky what happened there, and GT Jimbo having a look down the inside of Gary into turn 1.
Yeah, and Gary has a wide berth and manages to cover that off. It's Tobias Hoffer, 4th from Alex Powell. Then it is insert coin. Dan Davis has gone from the back of the grid up to P8. Then it's Nikita, who's currently P9. But let's go back to Alex Powell, I believe, has got past Tobias Hoffer. Yes, he has. What about insert coin now? He's got the defending champion all over the rear wing. And now Tobias Hoffer is coming under immense pressure from the Honda driver of excuse me, of insert coin. And Dan Davis looking for a way through as well. They've got then Nikita following suit and Jamal Clouden, who's looking up the inside of Nikita. And has he got that move done? No, he's going to try the long way round before the left-hander here. And now gets the move done on Nikita, but gets a horrible run. Nikita just pretty much stopped. Pacina and Kuiper have got through as well. Mike Matthews is now trying to get past, but as we go back to Michael Harris, who got a little delayed behind that of Jamal Clouden. He's got Pacina going up the inside. He's got Pacina now through on the inside. Clouden's now very, very wide. Track limits will be a talking point. It is track as well. Plenty of action as now Mike Matthews as well has got Overtaker and that of Richard Beasley and Ian Gray for close company as well.
Yeah, well, track limits definitely came on play last night because didn't Max get done DQ twice?
Yeah,
for track limits.
Yeah, one was
Both
before the disconnection, so it might not count, but one was before the disconnection. Mike Matthews now overtaken. Ben is into the pits. He's probably got some damage. Sky Schundelmeyer down the order, but it's Eckholt who leads this way from Fernie, from Gary now. He's dropped GT Jimbo and he's gaining on the back of Remy Fernie. Back to insert coin, though. He's on the back of Tobias Hoffer. He's all over the sausage curves on the outside of the circuit, and Dan Davis is going a long way around the opposite Istanbul part of the track. Tucks back in behind. Dab of the brakes there for Mr. Davis, as he's now going to come and try and look up the inside into the penultimate corner on insert coin. Can't get it done. The Honda's looking a bit racier than the M6, but the M6 has that straight line speed. And into the pits. Great call, insert coin.
Yep, early, get out of traffic and try and get
Oh!
there.
Pacino and Overtaker side by side on pit entry. Overtaker had to get out the back of that one. Mike Matthews, I'm surprised he's not carried on, gone into the pit lane. He's carried on his way. So does Ian Gray. Taker's in the pits and Flem Speed 1. Ben is now on his way out. But Ben it's not a loss for Ben. And now all of a sudden we turn our attention to the front. Gary's within that second mark of Remy Fernie.
And these two have battled many times before, all through the seasons of SimPlay.
Gary would love this here if he was to take a race win today. He'd absolutely love that. Or at least to take a podium.
His last race win was GT4's, wasn't it? With the Ginetta.
Yeah, Kyle Army race 1 of the other season. That was his last race win. So for Gary 131, or Gary Leach now, should I say, wants to try and get that race win, just tumbling down the order. Dan Davis still on the back then of Tobias Hoffer with Jamal Clouden gaining, but Dan's now pulled out and gets the run, looking into the hairpin. Is he gonna send one? Thank you mama for the carrots. Up the inside goes Dan Davis. That's a great job. Alex
has just got past Jim, but does Yaston's clear already down the straight, so again, so Alex Powell, not a bad shake for a race win.
He'll be coming for Gary Leach and Michael Eckholt fastest lappers. Here comes Hoffer around the outside of Dan Davis. That big M6 going to try and use its straight line speed around the outside of the Lamborghini, but he's gone a little deep. That's going to allow Jamal Clouden to have a look up the inside, but Clouden's going to be on the outside then for the first part of of the Hockenheim section, where he's gone a little wide. And has this allowed the M6 to keep its place? It has for now. And can he just sneak up the inside, Clouden? Well, he can, because Hoffner has run wide and Tobias Hoffer gets through. Job done for Jamal Clouden. He's had pace all week and he can keep on the back of Dan.
He can, and well, they'll probably see the podium slipping away right now with Alex already on the hunt. Gary's right on the back of Smokey again. I mean, Ramey.
And they've not decided to pit here, so GT Jimbo pulls the trigger. Dan stays out, clatters the sausage curb. Tobias... did Jamal Clouden pit? No, Clouden's sticking with him, but Tobias Hoffer here is currently got, as Mike Matthews is also in, he's got that of Michael Harris and then Wesley Kuiper just behind him, looking into turn 1. Here comes Harris, going to go up the inside into the first corner. Wide goes Hoffner, now trying to get the cut back. Can he do so? No, he cannot. That'll be a place for the M4 over the M6. And M. Harris will be up another place. What's happening? Gary Leach and Remy Fernie. Gary is still there, getting very close.
Apparently, there's an Evo version of the M4 now. It was the Nürburgring 8 hours.
It's sort of in testing this year and probably going to be released next year, I do believe.
Yeah, which was what they did with the M4 as well. The existing M4, they tested it at Nürburgring in the NLS series. But Michael Eckholt, 6-second lead over Fernie right now. Well, with Gary all over him.
Yeah, Gary is putting some pressure on him here.
Mustang's just got the legs on the straight compared to before.
Yeah, we know the Porsche struggles in a straight line. This is something that me and Dan said last night. So Gary's got that work to do. But look at Alex Powell coming. Mike Matthews and Nikita away. As is GT Jimbo now. We'll just drop down. Did Mike get out ahead of Overtaker? That is a no. Or Matteo Pacina. He is, though, ahead of Nikita. But Overtaker manages to stay in front. So Gary Leach and Alex Powell coming for Remy Fernie here then. Clouden's on the back of Dan. Kuiper is on the back of Hoffer. And Pacina, well, was on the back of Overtaker, but isn't anymore. And now he's going to have Mike Matthews trying to come after him. Yeah, I reckon that one's a defeat then, Tony. As Gary Leach now at Istanbul trying to look underneath that of Remy Fernie, and he does indeed. He gets the job done. Is he fully ahead? No, Smokey's going to fight this one back. Gary around the outside. Slight bit of contact between the pair of them, but Gary Leach round the outside. That is a move of a two-time champion. Great driving from him, and he gets past.
Echo and Powell no pit, as does Clouden and Harris. And God, they're all coming in. Where Kramer's in, Beasley's in, Hoffer's in. Oh, well, they're all gone for a drive-through, aren't they? It's McDonald's time.
So Gary
McDonald's
Leach.
milkshake.
Gary Leach effectively leads this race. Dan Davis didn't pit either, neither did Richard Beasley, so they're all still out on the circuit. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do from this position.
Trouble is, it's very warm here in UK. Whether houses made from bricks or stone, which get very warm. I'm drinking like a racehorse.
Yeah, tell me about it. Right then. What can Gary do now? He started to gap, Gary has, over
Look how close
Ramey.
Alex is.
Alex is very close, yeah. Wesley Kuiper still in the pits, Flem still in the pits, everybody now still away. Clouden's away, Harris away. But at the minute, Gary Leach is the one to keep our eyes on. He's the man who leads this race. Dan Davis 3.2 behind, so he's got a bit of time over Dan in the pit lane. But let's look at Eckholt here. Jimbo's jumped Alex, you're right. And where's Eckholt? There's Eckholt. There's Jimbo. Where? There.
Corner behind?
Yeah, couple of corners behind, going through the S's. Not close, but not far away. And look at this, congested out of the pit lane. Mike's managed to move up a couple of places. We'll keep our eyes on that. Ramey's back on the rear of Gary. You get a feeling that's because of the straight lines that we've just had. Harris, 8/10 on the back of Clouden. He's got Pacina 4/10 behind him, who's got Tibbs right up his boot lid. Mike Matthews isn't a million miles away from Tibbs. He's then got Ian Gray with Insert Coin and Tobias Hoffer all there. So good racing from these lot. Where's Ben at the moment? Ben is behind the number 17. He's a bit behind the 112 of Wesley Kuiper. But yeah, he's got work to do. Gary in, Smokey in. Dan Davis stays out, and Richard Beasley pits as well.
Smokey nearly wiped out the speed limit sign there.
Brilliant. Right, so Dan Davis, clear road in front of him. What's he going to do?
Let's see how the Lambo performs. It's, well, with the BOP, what is it? It's a 13 kilo weight loss?
The Lamborghini, yeah, the Lamborghini is not a favoured car around this circuit. We're halfway through the race. We're going to end the pole there. And I have to say, Eckholt at the moment, he's in good position. Alex Powell's got past Jimbo. Harris gaining on Clouden. We've got Schundelmeyer and Pacina having a battle further down.
Gary's been dropped and Gary is away.
So Gary's away. Eckholt's not even at the final corner.
Smokey's away as well. I mean, Fernie's away.
This could be pretty close, you know, this could. Gary, not yet off the limiter, it might not be actually. He may have jumped Alex Powell a bit more. Did Schundelmeyer get the move done? He did. Mike Matthews is the next one to get onto Pacina's rear end. Insert corner, Tobias Hoffer still there as well. Now where's Gary Leach? He's still not off the limiter. Eckholt is already at turn 1. Alex Powell is coming up towards turn 1. The undercut works. Gary Leach loses out and nearly loses out to GT Jimbo, who's had to go very deep to avoid Gary Leach. And yeah, Gary and Smokey lose out by pitting a lap later. Dan going that extra lap, possibly trying to nullify that undercut.
He is, and well, he's got 5 minutes to pit. And this race isn't worth changing tyres unless you spin and flat spot them and turn them into 50p's or 20p's.
So Pacina trying to hunt down on the back of Schundelmeyer. We've got Clouden gaining on the back of Harris. And this is crucial for the championship as well, let's not forget.
Well, overtake the 7th, so
he's come back up the order a bit, hasn't he? He's come back up the order a bit.
But then again, though, he's quick around here. Very quick around here.
He is. He's the most successful driver around this circuit, so this is going to be interesting. Gary to Alex Powers, 8/10 of a second. This one could be one worth watching. Dan stays out again. Could possibly go one more as well, actually, to be fair. Could Dan?
He could. They're doing, what, 2:08?
2:08, 2:09, yeah. So he could possibly... Dan could go do one more lap and then come into the pits, because you've only got to be in the pit lane for when the timer runs out.
Yeah. So as soon as you cross that pit speed limit line, technically, you're in the pit lane.
Yeah.
So It's interesting, and plus the sun's getting lower, so it's going to be coming into the windscreen a bit more. And
yeah, sun's getting lower, and you'll notice in that second race, with it being an hour long, it did start to dip where the drivers had all their headlights on in race 2 last night before we had the G-Portal problems. So it's going to be an interesting one here. This is currently watching Gary Leach. He's just dropped over that second mark. Sky Schundelmeyer's gaining on Clouden. He's got past Piscina, and Clouden's looking up the inside of Michael Harris in towards the final corner. Clouden on the brakes, up the inside. Great move from Jamal. That puts him up into into 9th place, sorry. And he's got to do something about Dan. Now Piscina's got Mike Matthews hassling the back of him. Mike, who's probably dreaming about being in that Ford Mustang, is really all over the back of it. Gonna look up the inside into turn 1. Piscina wide berth, no job done there. In Gray and insert Coyne. Gray drops the rear. Coyne goes through.
Yeah, fastest lap just went to Kuiper. Kuiper.
Kuiper.
It's spelled Kuiper, as in the bit beyond Pluto, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Kuiper. Yeah. Gary back within a second of Alex Powell. Now that's through the S's, I'm reckoning, where Gary's making up all that time. This is overtaker on Ramey Fernie then. Currently in the battle for 6th and 7th. Dan can fit one more lap in. Been a yellow flag, the 7:21. That is Flemspeed, who's had a spin, and Kuiper gets past them. And Dan is in the pits. Yeah. 52 seconds to Eckholt. And it is, and I'll tell you now, I've got it I can get it in front of me. I'll minus 5 seconds because I can only assume that Dan isn't going to change tyre.
So it'll be 25 for the pits stationary.
So for the stationary. I'll load it up now. In and out at COTA is going to take you 64 seconds. Minus 5, so 59 seconds. Dan could be anywhere between Alex and Jimbo.
Yeah, so he's going to probably come out around where Gary is.
This is going to be an interesting one, depending on if he's hit his box, if he's hit his markers. Dan's now being released. Here comes Eckholt, who is going to come round the final corner. Alex Powell's now coming to the final corner, as is Gary, as is Jimbo. We'll go back to overtaker in a minute. We just want to see where Eckholt is compared to Dan. Dan not yet off the limiter. Eckholt goes through. Right then. What about Alex Powell? Dan's now off the limiter, up towards turn 1. Here comes Alex Powell. The car 11's had a spin. That's Mike Matthews. Alex Powell turns in. There's Dan Davis, who's managed to get his stop bang on. And Dan moves into second place. Mike Matthews then has had a moment back end of the circuit. Not sure what's happened. Looks like he's got some front end damage. He's gone again. That could be overheated tyres. That's not going to help at all. And Wesley Kuiper is now going to be able to hunt down after Mike Matthews. Alex Powell, though, right on the back of Dan Davis. What about overtaker? He did clear that of Smokey Devil. Jamal Clouden's now on the back of Richard Beasley. We've got insert Coyne with Piscina, who's got even more damage. Ian Gray is then P14. Nikita in 16th place, all trying to find some time here, but it's Alex Powell now who's got the big job as he's right up the rear of Dan, pushing him along, and that's a drive-through for Jimbo.
Yeah, that's the first one. If you're having a drinking day, take a swig now.
Good evening to Scano in the chat. It is tense indeed, as I believe, was there a slow car moving? Not sure it was. I think it was GT Jimbo, possibly just getting out of overtaker's way, as Alex Powell wins side by side with Dan Davis, your current pro champion, 8 times a champion. These two had many a fights last season. Gary's watching on. Alex in front! Oh, and Cole's pulled straight in front of Dan, and Dan hits the rear.
Yeah, and Gary's now on the podium.
And Gary could get Dan. That could have been a lot worse. And Dan now may have some front-end damage.
Oh, Smokey just hit Beasley. I just went to look at overtaker, and that's all happening, and Clouden's just got past both of them.
Yeah, so Clouden gets through as well. Smokey being flashed by Richard Beasley. Smokey goes wide. That's going to allow Beasley back up the inside. Jamal Clouden is then through. But Alex Powell into the rear of Dan Davis. And can Dan now pull away? Kuiper has got past Mike Matthews, so his race has gone from bad to worse. He's got incredible damage on that Lamborghini. Ian Gray trying to gain onto the back of Insert Coin. Insert Coin, those having a look at Istanbul. Up the inside of Piscina. Now to the outside line he'll go. Piscina, can he hang on? No, he can't. Insert Coin very wide. And he's going to rejoin the track and picks up a drive-through penalty for his troubles.
That's two.
And I've just noticed Jimbo didn't do his drive-through.
No, he'll get a time penalty.
30 seconds. 30-second time penalty will be given. And just looking at Dan's managed to drop Gary. Alex Powell is on the back, has got Overtaker on the back of him. This is interesting at the minute. Question is, will Dan let Alex back through? From this point now, I'm going to say no. I reckon that one will go to the steward's room as Cloudon's having a look. Look at how dark it started to get, PN. Late on in this race, we've still got the hour race to come a little later on. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad. So we've still got the hour race to come, and that is at 7 p.m. on the Sunday night. This could get a little darker as Jamal Cloudon's going to get past GT Jimbo. Jimbo not fighting that one too hard, or is he? Because he's keeping that inside line. They just go shoulder to shoulder a little bit. And they all manage to keep pointing in the right direction. Michael Eckholt, though, doing his job from Dan Davis. Then it's Gary Leach, Alex Powell, and Overtaker at the moment going at it. Jimbo and Cloudon side by side. But I believe now Cloudon's managed to get the move done. Jimbo going to have a look. Can't get it done there. Overtaker will want to get that P4. Every point will count for him in this championship. So he'll want to get past Alex Powell in this race.
Got to be careful. You don't want to get a drive-through on the last lap.
Jimbo's let Richard Beasley go. I think he's ran a little wide, so Beasley's gone. And no, you do not want to drive through this last lap. That is for sure. But we turn back to Michael Eckholt as he comes into the first couple of corners. Brand new tonight is Michael Eckholt. And it's already going to be a race win for him. He's going to take the honours in the first race of the evening. It is P1 for Michael Eckholt. We then get to turn to Dan Davis, who will take home a P2. Great race for him. As Gary Leach on the podium, P3. Good job, Gary Leach. Alex Powell will hang on to that fourth place with Overtaker hanging on to P5. Insert Coin comes in for his drive-through, but it's not going to let him serve it. We're going to jump back to Wesley Kuiper so we can get the results on the screen. On the board, should I say. Cloud and Crossline P6. Oh, sorry, yeah, Wesley does get fastest lap, you're right.
Yeah, so fastest lap there.
Ian Gray 13th, Nikita 16th, Overtaker managed to come home P5. Oh, sorry, no, done the wrong one. Ian Gray, Nikita, Overtaker, yep, P5. Gary Burton isn't here tonight, obviously after the birth of his daughter, so again, congratulations to him. Richard Beasley, P7. Harris then was able to come home. Where's Harris? He's P9. Dennis Newman's not here tonight. Tobias Hoffer takes home a P14. Sky Schundelmeyer came home for P10. Not bad for the American. GT Jimbo with that time penalty. We'll wait and see. In fact, I've just done all that, and we might have to wait and see because other drivers will get podiums, will get positions. But Ben here, not the opener to the night he would have wanted.
No, it was, as I say, I think he lost the rear on his own, but the stewards will find out later on whatever happened.
Ben now comes to the final corner, and he's going to finish in P20. We, though, are going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few moments' time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for the next round of qualifying. It is the turn of the pro qualifiers here for round 8. And it is going to be an interesting one to see as we go through. Remember, Pacina and Ramey, the two Fords, are on qualifying bans. The first car out on circuit is car number 17. And that is Richard Beasley, who is the first one out the gate, wants to get on with it. PN, after a great opening race, what can we expect in qualifying?
Well, I think... what's his surname again? Michael.
Echo.
Echo. Yeah, I think he's going to fly because he's got pace. So has Wesley Kuiper. He's got a lot of pace in that McLaren as well. So I think we're going to see a few McLarens up the front.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. That is for sure. And we'll be able to keep our eyes on everything throughout this this race and this qualifying session. It will cool down, yeah. It looks like the track temp's going to cool down as well as the air temperature. Dan Davis leads the way, 54 points clear of Harris, 59 points clear of Cloud, and so Dan's really got a bit between his teeth. Don't forget, drop scores will come into play at the end after this first race, after this second race of the evening. Overtakers up to P4 ahead of Alex. They're separated by 2 points. Then it's Gary Leach up into P6 with RB Racing in 7th. Guy Schundelmeyer is 8th. Nikita 9th. Wesley Kuiper P10. Obviously, his first drop score comes in tonight, so he might drop back down a little bit. Tobias Hoffer from Insert Coin. Pacina, Gary Burton, Ian Gray, Mike Matthews, GT Jimbo, O'Reilly, Ben, Mitra Canin, Flem Speed 1, Dennis Newman, Eckholt, Klarbel, Ramey, Fernie, Saber, Simon Fuchs, Sullivan, and Rosenberg bringing up the rear. Teams Championship, Team FBR, 8 points clear now of SimPlay Racing with Jaeger Motorsport in 3rd, who are down out to a solo car. Quantum Apex Motorsport from GK Racing, Greasy Bandits Racing, and then Effect Motorsport in this one as well. Just thought, has Clouden got a teammate? No, his teammate pulled out, didn't he? It was that Jason Ireland. BSP are P8, they are independent driver. FBR Junior Racing Team independent. FSO Racing Team independent. And Smoky Racing independent. Down the rear, who's your tip for pole position, PM?
Overtaker. I've got a feeling Overtaker. I think Overtaker's just got to pull a blinder. Because
well, it will be his 25th pole if he does it.
Because Smokey's moved in pit lane. Oh, he stayed there. I was keeping an eye on them too.
So we're currently on board with Richard Beasley as he's on his... Oh no, he's bailed. He's bailed on his qualifying lap. The next one will be Mike Matthews. But again, I'm ignoring the blue dots on the screen because last night me and Dan Davis had this problem. And then it sorted itself out. So I'm ignoring the blue dots on screen at the moment. And we will look to go elsewhere if the times are wrong. But let's just see for now.
Car just moved again.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't come out of the pits, he's okay. So at the minute, it's Mike Matthews, the first car on track. Smokey looks like he's coming out of the pit lane. Well, Smokey's on a qualifying ban. And here comes Mike Matthews then to complete nearly his first lap. But will this be a flyer or is it invalid? It says it's invalid at the moment. And this is the problem so far is... This is where we had the problem last night. All the laps kept saying they was invalid when they wasn't. So, going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on as this session rolls on. And Smoky Devil is taken to the racetrack. So if he puts a lap time in, that'll be a qualifying ban going into next week then, PN, I imagine.
Yeah, I've just tagged him on Discord. Not like he pays attention.
Well, let's see what will happen through the race.
Yeah, if not, it'll be a ticket in a minute.
Right, only a ticket when he sets the lap time.
Yep.
So then, Smoky Devil on track when he shouldn't be. So not what Smoky Devil will need is another qualifying ban going into Indianapolis. A track which might suit that Mustang out quite well, to be fair. It's good in the straight lines, and that's where Indianapolis could be strong for the Ford Mustang. So times have started to go in. Eckholt, Sky Schundermeyer overtake, second. Mike's third. Alex Powell fourth. Fifth. Tobias Hoffer fourth then. So the 777's coming to the line. Is Ian Gray going to set a lap time? He does not. What about Dan Davis, who says he's on an invalid lap? He also doesn't set a lap time. So what we're going to do is, let's stay with Mike. He's the first grey timed car, and we'll see who pops up on the screen as we go along.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on somebody, see if they set a time. So at the moment it is McLaren.
Yep, three McLarens at the top, from Lamborghini, from BMW, from Aston Martin, from Porsche, from BMW. 8 drivers have set a lap time at the minute.
Yeah, as we I'll tell you what, track limits here is the white line, isn't it? You don't even look at it.
Yeah, no, you do not want to touch it, you don't want to go near it, you don't want to be on it, you don't want to do anything to the white line at all.
No, don't tickle it.
Just make sure you're the right side of it, that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, he started his flying hat.
Here comes Mike Matthews. Rounds the final corner now. Is this going to be an improvement on that P5 lap time at the moment? No, it is not. Sky Schundelmeyer stays third. What about Eckholt? He stays where he is. Then I believe, is it overtaken? No, he's coming to the line now, though. It was car 140 who didn't put a lap time in. That is Ben. So he's on a lap. Overtaker to the line. Doesn't find any pace. Next car is Alex. Currently 1.6 off the pole. That'll be invalidated. Oh, he did find pace, apologies. It just stayed the same. I was looking at the gap coming down, and it's not. Overtaker's got provisional pole. Car number 36 coming towards the end of its lap. That is Jamal Clouden. He's had pace all week.
But it was cooler in the week.
And Clouden goes pole now by 0.2 of a second. First man into the 206s in qualifying. It's Gary next to the line on a valid lap. Dan has invalidated his time. So he's got to go again, and it's a long lap, PN, to get an invalidation.
It is, yeah. Alex has just returned to pits. Probably, do you put a new set of tyres on? Do you save them for the race?
Just depends how many sets of tyres you've got left, I suppose, doesn't it? Michael Harris is coming through the final corner now. Here comes Harris to the line. He's currently P8. He'll stay P8 at the moment. Good evening to Chris in the chat. Very tight and complicated track by the looks of it. Oh, massively tight and complicated is COTA. Indianapolis a little easier next week.
I like Indy.
Oh, I love Indy.
I like them.
Especially on this game. This game, the Indianapolis version of this game is fantastic. Wesley Kuiper goes provisional pole by a 10th now from Clouden. So another man to possibly take points away from Dan, as Mike Matthews is now on a lap time.
He is, and where's Dan? This circuit don't favour the Lambo very much, does it? Really?
No, Lambo struggles around here.
Mike's now coming to the last corner.
But I suppose if you see Dan at Snetterton, that's then where the Lamborghini was really strong.
Yeah.
So, you know, pros and cons.
Maybe he needs to say he doesn't like the circuit more.
Yeah, possibly so. Possibly so. Who's that?
Right.
Return to pits. Mike has returned to the pit lane. Then car 21 next on a lap time. And that is Tobias Hoffer.
Back in a sec. I just got to do a ticket because someone set a time maybe shouldn't have done.
So Tobias Hoffer around the final corner now. What is his lap time going to be? He returns to the pit lane, so must have invalidated right at the end. 777 is next. That then is Ian Gray. And Ian Gray stays P13. Who's next? The 222. Dan, I've noticed, is back in the pits. Where's Dan? Dan's only 7th fastest at the minute. The 222, that is GT Jimbo. What will he do now? He'll go P16. Not the quickest at the moment, GT Jimbo. A little off the pace. Even though his race 1 form, was not bad. Who's the next one on a fly? That is the 721 of Flem. So let's see what Flem can do here. So it is Kuiper currently on that provisional pole at the moment.
Beasley's not set it up yet, has he?
Who?
Beasley.
No, he hasn't. Neither's Ben, no.
No, oh, really? I've got...
Neither's Ben, so none of them two have set lap times. So that's going to be interesting to see them. Around the final corner now comes Flem Speed 1. What is his lap time going to be? Can he get something on the board here? This could be absolutely huge. Can he improve 3.1 off? No. No improvement there. Next up, 777. That is Ian Gray on the circuit now. What will he be able to do? And just to say as well, by the way, in terms of the car statistics, that was McLaren's 75th race win. As Ian Gray stays P13. Next car is the Honda of Insert Coin, currently up in P6. Great job from him. And the podiums, one for the McLaren puts it on 220, one for the Lamborghini puts it on 211, and one for the Porsche puts it on 251. It's now only 18 podiums behind Mercedes to become top dog in terms of podiums. So, interesting.
Very interesting, very intriguing.
And at the minute, it's a McLaren 1 to 5, and we said last night that McLaren struggled. Insert Coin, though, wrecks that one. It's now McLaren 1 to 4. Dan Davis will hope to spoil the party. Crosses the line. No improvement. Who did improve there? That is Alex Powers, now goes up to 6. So now it is McLaren's not quite close together. Amy Fernie on a lap. But we're not going to show you that one because he shouldn't be. He should be in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm just sorting something. Yeah, well, I said Wesley's lost some pace, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, that looked like that's either Gray or Nikita done. Nikita P12. Tyres are probably saying, please, no more. Please, no more.
Yeah, Tobias in the pits, Insert Coins in the pits. Michael Harris has gone up to 6th place. We're currently watching Flem Speed 1.
Will Beasley get a lap in and get on the grid? Because it looked like Ben's bailed. He's starting from the back.
Yeah, Ben's going to go from last. That's possibly not the worst thing in the world, to be honest with you. Here comes Flem. Stays P15 at the moment. Mike was just behind him. Next car, the 272. Is there a 272? No, it's the 222. That is GT Jimbo.
I think we knew their glass has changed.
Oh, I definitely do. 100% I do.
Or a bigger telly.
Both.
Emily, buy me a telly.
In all fairness, I could have probably plugged this into the big main telly downstairs, but hey-o.
Is it cooler down there? Are you not going to roast?
Oh no, that's where I am already. I'm already downstairs, so it's lovely and cool. I'm in the living room. GT Jimbo to the line, stays P16 at the moment. Dan Davis next up. Dan's down in 10th place. Gary Leach is done. Dan's down in 10th place at the moment, so Dan will be looking to improve on his time here. Goes P8. So not great, but it'll do for Dan Davis. Next car to line is out of Alex Powell, but he is on an invalid time. The next car on a lap is Overtaker. Needs 6.5 temps here, PM.
He does, and Beasley just lit a time into P10 for first person to finish qualifying. And
yes, this is do or die for Overtaker then. He comes across the line. Now where will Overtaker be? Stays exactly where he was. The 112 That is
Kuiper.
Kuiper, but he's done for qualifying. Cloudon's already bailed as well. And then there is a car with a number 4 on the end, but I can't quite see who that is. It's probably Michael Harris, who bails as well. Mike has just invalidated his lap time. But he's going to keep pushing. No, he's not. Pulls off road.
Is still on one. And
Ian Gray, Dan and Alex on lap times.
I think Alex is as well. In the
Yeah, Dan, Alex and Ian Gray.
Because Flem's done. Though the dots could be lying.
He's in the pit lane anyway. Flem has pulled it back into the pits. Here comes Ian Gray, rounds the final corner now. Any improvement on his time? Does he stay P14? He goes up ahead of his teammate into P13. We now turn our attention to Dan Davis and Alex Pow.
Here comes car 1. He's now in the Istanbul turn 8. Well, in reverse. It's only... I think it's a more up-to-date game with Istanbul. I think the last F1 game I had it was 2016. I think. I can't remember.
Dan Davis now into the final corner. Round he comes. What's he going to do from here? Is it going to be any improvement? He only goes P7. And that could be cut short by the fact that Alex is now going to set his lap time. And Alex goes P5. So Dan drops back down the order. Wesley Kuiper, pole position. Eckholt will start P4. That is not a bad start to this one. Let me tell you, it could be worse. But Alex P5 on the grid. Great qualifying there at the end. The Honda up in P6 as well, going great guns.
Yeah, for calling as Tanks just Cloudon for the win. He's got a chance. Cloudon
he has. Front row of the grid, heading up towards turn 1. You get a good start.
First two rows.
You know, jeez, anybody could win this race.
Yeah, the first 2 rows, McLaren's.
The thing is, as well, let's not forget tyres. Tyres are going to be key in this race. Yeah, it's going to get dark. It's going to get cold. Track temp 36 at the moment, as is the air temp. But it is going to get cooler. That is a given. It will get cooler. That stops Cloudon's runs of pole positions as well, by the way.
Yeah, because he's had a fair few poles, but it's...
He's had the last 2. Dan had the first 2. Cloudon had the last 2. And now Wesley's got one here. So that gives McLaren its 76th pole position. It's now 12th behind Mercedes.
Jay's just said Sun gets a little annoying late on for the feature race in Sector 3. Yeah, because it's right in your eyes.
Yeah, just as you come into that final corner.
That's where you want a tornado to come through and block out the sun. It is Texas. Oh, and cricket score update for you.
Yeah, England have lost. Yeah, England have lost. Yeah, seen it on my phone. Can ignore that and quickly move on. Did you see that, or is yep, Tony? Thanks, saw that one, mate. Tim Ventink with the lap I didn't get to finish in quali yesterday. I'd have been P5 or 4. Great lap then from Tim yesterday. As we're now underway, PN. Who's your money on? And by the way, Cloudon, Kuiper, Overtaker or other. If you voted other, please put in the chat who that other is.
Oh, again, you can't ever count out Overtaker.
You can't. You also can't count out Alex.
No, because he's got a lot of pace in that Aston. Yeah. But how easy is it on the tyres?
Well, this is it, isn't it?
You've got to be... You wouldn't really need to warm up your tyres by leaving or anything like that. Like Cloudon's doing right now, taking life out of his tyres.
24 people currently watching the stream. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. Pro-Am back next week with myself and Dan Davis at Indianapolis. The week 5, rounds 9 and 10 of the season. Not the halfway mark this year. That'll be rounds 11 and 12 the week after at the Hungaroring. And then join me back live Thursday evening with PM Motorsport. Possibly a new commentator. Let's see what happens there. as well as I'll be bringing you all the pro action all season long for the remainder of the season. And don't forget, if you want to get involved, GT4s do start soon, so head over to the Sim Grid and head over to Discord. Make sure you've done your hot stints to get into the GT4s, which start in 3 weeks' time. And if you fancy yourself in an endurance event, manage to make sure you get on with a teammate. Get your hot stints done and get signed up for the endurance event in 2 weeks' time. It is going to be a belter at Imola. There is also still spaces on the grid for Pro and Pro-Am as a reserve and full-time driver, technically. So make sure, if you want to get involved on a Wednesday and a Thursday night, sign up to them as well. We're halfway through the current formation lap. It's a long old circuit, this one.
At least it's not Spa. We'll still be sitting here. My teammate for the endurance race has confirmed. I was just checking, so Team Jag will be at full strength. Team Jag. Or Team, what is it? I can't remember his name now from Cars. Drick Yardley, there we go. That's who it is. Against Chick Hicks' team and McQueen. We're making it a bit fun in the endurance races.
Yeah.
Pity we can't put the eyes on the windscreen. Pity we can't put the eyes on the cars actually in
Yeah,
the
exactly.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
Tracy with Sky for the win.
My bet's on the Diz is saying Harris in the BMW. Sky for the win, says Tracy. This could be an interesting race, PM. This could be an interesting race.
Who changes tyres for track position, or not? Well, not for track position, but for more grip, or who? I've completely fumbled that, and this is why I'm not a full-time commentator. No, who doesn't pit for track position, better track position, and who pits the tyres for better grip? There we go, I got it right in the end.
This is it. Kachiga, says Jay in the chat. But let's go then. We come into the final corner now. Drivers finishing getting the brakes and tyres up to temperature.
I don't think it took a lot.
And it is Wesley Kuiper and Jamal Clouden on the front row of the grid, as they're going to head towards the start line.
And green means go?
No, not till the first line. It's the back line for the race results. It's the first line for the start of the race. But green now does mean go, as we all go for round 8 of the season, and it is a good start at the moment for Jamal Clouden and for Wesley Kuiper. Clouden looks like he's slightly got ahead. He's got to go the long way around turn 1, and he's going to try, he's going to try and hang it around there to have the inside line for the second part of the corner. Doesn't manage to get it done. Eckholt has hung on in there over Alex Pow as well, who's currently sat P4. Then you've got to insert Coyne in his Honda, doing well at the moment as well. So it is Wesley Kuiper from Jamal Clouden, from overtaker from Michael Eckholt. Then it is Alex Pow. Everybody looks like they've got through cleanly as well. So it's Kuiper, Clouden, overtaker, Eckholt, Pow, insert Coyne, Dan Davis, Harris, Richard Beasley, Sky Shundermeyer, Mike Matthews, Gary Leach, Tobias Hoff and Ramy Fernie, Flem Speed 1, Pacina, Nikita, Ben, Ian Gray and GT Jimbo down the back. He's the one who's had the worst start out of them all. And already Pierre, great opening start to lap. Nobody round, everybody through cleanly.
Well, we're not halfway through the lap yet, but so far nobody around or any contact, so not a bad start. By the look of things, Kuiper's already started to stretch his legs with clear road in front of him and no dirty air to affect his aero and knacker his tyres quicker. Yeah,
there's a great start at the minute. Gary Leach, we're watching, he's got Tobias Hoff on the back of him in the Porsche, in the BM. We know that BM's got some straight line speed, and here comes the two Mustangs just behind. Hoffer's going to have a look on Gary Leach, so going into the hairpin. Then you've got the two Mustangs behind him. Ramy Fernie, who's missed his brakes. And what about Pacina? No, Pacina looked like he got alongside Gary as well. But for Ramy Fernie, missed his brakes, and Gary Leach lost out to Tobias Hoffer and nearly lost out. In fact, Gary's got some big front-end damage. So did Pacina actually hit the front of Gary?
Yeah, I'm just looking through the cars, and Nikita's got a scuff down the side. Oh, Flem was around and Pacina was into him, and into the start of the sweeping right-hander around for Istanbul, because that's what we're going to call it from now on, even though it's probably got no name.
There is no names, it's just turn 1 to whatever the final corner is, and I believe one of them is called turn something A and something B as well. So, yeah, we'll just call them by what we know them as, but it's Wesley Kuiper who leads from Jamal Clouden from Overtaker, from Eckhout and Alex Power, Insert Coin and Dan Davis, and it is Beasley and Michael Harris who's got Sky Schundelmeyer from Mike Matthews, Tobias Hoffer, Gary Leach, Ben, from then Nikita with GT Jimbo, who looks like he's now going to have a move on Nikita, does Jimbo, up in towards turn 1. GT Jimbo is through. I think should be Nikita's fighting this one back actually down the hill, but Jimbo goes through. Yeah, Jimbo goes through.
Yeah, and look at us. Fernie muscle his way past in the muscle car. We are in America, so the Mustang muscle car.
We did just come away from that then, as you said it. We are on now with Dan Davis, who is right up the back then of Insert Coin at the moment. Having a look to the outside, maybe thinking of that switchback.
And in front of him, Alex is having a little sniff on Eckhout.
He is indeed. Eckhout not having it his own way while he's not out front now, and Overtaker as well, gaining on the back of Jamal Clouden. In fact, Overtaker's pulled out to the inside over Jamal Clouden. And up the inside, the Overtaker looks like he's going to go. Can he get this move stuck? Clouden can hang it around the outside if he can keep a wheel there, but he can't. And Overtaker gets the job done, and through he goes. And for Alex Pow, he also got past Eckhout. Dan Davis, though, still stuck behind Insert Coin. So this will be hurting him at the moment with Clouden ahead. Harris isn't, though. That's only Dan Davis' saving grace at the minute, that one championship rival is ahead, the other one is behind. But Overtaker and Alex both in front of him as well, and he's kind of being halted at the moment. Harris under some immense pressure from Sky Schundelmeyer, and he's got Mike Matthews for a bit of company as well.
He has closest overtime in score. Well, Clayton's not given up on Overtaker yet, so he's trying to hang with him. Maybe trying to save some tire over it, but can't do that for long with Alex hunting them down as well, and that Matt Black Aston.
Exactly, this is the problem. Now we're going to get to see Overtaker try and head after Kuiper. But like you say, PN, is in that dirty air with these temperatures, 35 degrees. We've already lost a degree, but it's going to hurt these drivers being in that dirty air, isn't it?
Yeah, and you think your brakes are going to get hot as well. Really hot. And if you're following a car close behind, like Coin is on Eckhout going through the Mag Spectre section. Somebody's around after turn 1. I believe it was
I think it's Mike. I think it's Mike. Car 11 had a bit of a yellow flag around it, so I think
Harris was around.
It is Mike. I'm seeing Mike and Harris tumble down the order.
Mike's behind Nikita now, and
yeah, so Mike's had a moment as well.
But he wishes he stuck with the Ferrari, don't you?
I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Kuiper. Overtaker's not really catching Kuiper.
No, not yet. Day is still young, but Insert Coin is on the back of Eckhout here. As they come down the back straight, Eckholt's going to move to that inside line to try and defend it from that then of Insert Coin, who is now coming through, looking on the outside, turns in now in the NSX. Bold car choice, but hits the curb hard. Now Dan Davis is going to have a sniff. Dan, though, too far back to get the move done.
And Beasley's with Dan as well, so that Golf livery Ferrari is right on it.
Oh, I tell you what, Dan had a bit of a moment there.
And do you know who's getting right onto Clouden? Because Overtaker's now dropped Clouden.
Yeah, Alex Powers.
Alex.
Yeah. So was Clouden's pace that we've seen in testing all week, bit of one lap pace.
Yeah, and now, race pace.
You know,
at this phase of the race as well, we've only had 7 minutes, roughly. Well, a bit longer with the warm-up lap, but took me 2 million years, but that Honda's, well, did he say that he likes using cars nobody else would use?
Yeah, I think he drives a Honda as well, in general. So, I think he's a bit of a Honda driver. Oh, and he's lost the rear! Oh, that'll put to bed that at any chance.
We've cursed him, Matt.
Yeah, he's had a full spin. He was doing a great job. He's had a full spin. Ben's on the back of Tobias Hoffer. Mike Matthews on the back of Nikita. Oh! And contact. That is GT Jimbo. And I believe Ian Gray and Nikita have just hit each other. And Insert Coin slow on the rejoin there. So did he have anything to do with that?
Harris is now fighting back. He's already caught the back of Flem Speed 1 and Ramey Fernie, who has quite a heavily damaged Mustang.
He does indeed. Richard Beasley still on the back of Dan Davis as well. This the battle a little further forward. Alex has lost out to Clouden over this, sort of period of the race. Obviously, different cars do different things. So Alex's tyres might be going through a bit of a phase at the moment, bit of a heat cycle, if you will.
What, that phase where you have no grip at all? Yeah. We had that in the Bentley last season as well, where it just did not want to do anything. And it was like, what are you doing, car?
Oh, Richard Beasley got very close there. Ben still looking on Tobias Hoffer, but at the moment that BMW has good straight line speed to keep in front and manages to do so very easily.
Hoffer's a hero, really, one of the oldest cars in the game. Last season it was the V12, which sounded glorious. There might be one of here and again in Pro-Am. Depends on things and stuff. Mike is in front of Coyne. Coyne is doing quite a good recovery drive. And we know he's got pace in the Honda.
Nikita's on the back of Pacina because Jimbo's already got past him. And who's out with him? I'm not sure. Oh, it might need changing because that is Nikita just behind Ian Gray. Sorry, I believe it's Ian Gray who's on the back of Pacina, who's also got a heavily damaged Ford Mustang.
Does the tailgate fall off like it does in real life?
Yeah. Back to Ben.
Lighter artificially.
Ben's no closer to Hoffner. Richard Beasley, who's right up Dan's rear wing here. So Richard Beasley giving this one a good go. And like you say, Overtaker's not really catching Wesley at the moment.
No, I think Wesley's pulling away a little bit by a tenth or so every sector.
Well, Beasley,
so he's got his McLaren.
He has got it hooked up. Beasley on the back of Dan so far. And the thing for Wesley is, the thing for Wesley is as well is this week's he's dropped scores.
Yeah. So he had pretty much a perfect weekend last time out, minus pole position for Brands Hatch.
Yeah, minus pole position. Let's go back down to Tobias Hoffer and Ben. Ben's just lost a little time, it would seem, to Hoffner. Ian Gray still trying to get onto the back of Pacina.
Mike has Coyne right up behind him, thinking, oh, I wish I was in that Honda again.
He probably does, to be fair, 'cause that was another car that Mike got on with, wasn't it?
He got on really well with the Honda, he got on really well with the 296.
And now drives the Lamborghini.
And now drives the Lamborghini, because the Ford came out literally a few days
yeah,
before,
literally too late for him to actually have a try on it. And he really likes Fords. So Mike could be in anything next year. We don't quite know what Mike's going to be in. A pretty tame, though. A pretty tame race, though, at the moment, isn't it? We've got Nikita, who's got Smokey and Harris and Flem, who's just run wide on the back of him, but all them lot are damaged heavily. And insert Coyne right up the rear wing of Mike. Tries to tuck underneath Mike now, but just can't get alongside enough. Going into Istanbul, and did Mike just pull too far across the circuit? I thought he did there, because I thought inside Coyne had got up the inside.
Meanwhile, Beasley, after his little slide, has already caught on the back of Dan.
So there's two SimPlay Racing drivers not having it their own way at the minute. They're the ones that's under pressure, not creating pressure. And look at that Honda. Is it just going to turn underneath the Lamborghini? No, it does not. But one bonus is Harris is down in 19th place, while Richard Beasley for Team FBR is up the order a little bit. So far, SimPlay Racing not having it their own way, but in terms of that constructors' defence that they're on, are doing better than FBR in this race.
Yeah, with Harris doing a fight back from...
Yeah.
He's having a look on the inside of Smokey, and Smokey cuts his nose off into turn one.
We just popped onto Michael Eckholt because he's now got Dan within a second. Dan's got Beasley right up the rear wing of him. So this is going to be an interesting fight here, Pian.
Yeah, because I look like Eckholt is struggling a little bit to grip. The car seems to be moving a little bit more. Yeah, look at the slide.
We're already halfway through the race. Race one distance. We're 8 minutes into where that would then be finished. And Eckholt was under no pressure at all in that race. Had it his own way, didn't have to push as much. Now he's got to push that little bit harder.
Yeah, he's got the reigning champion behind him. and hunting him down.
The 8-time champion as well, let's not forget.
Meanwhile, it's ebbing and flowing a bit between Cloud and Overtaker and Alex.
Yeah, not massive amounts. They seem to gain a couple of tenths, lose a couple of tenths. So it's not huge amounts that Alex is gaining or Cloudham's gaining Overtaker, but then they lose it all pretty much straight away. But it's this fight here for P5, 6 and 7 that I am interested in at the moment. Eccles, Dan and Beardsley. Beardsley having a look underneath. Dan, he's now going to be on the outside line for that penultimate corner. No, can't get it done. Dan manages to hang on at the moment. Dan on a bit of a defensive drive. This could allow Eccles to get away a bit.
It could do, yeah, because now his mirrors are full of a bright blue Ferrari with orange stripes. It's almost a PM livery. Sky Shoulder having a quiet race so far in 8th place.
Yeah. Again, kind of bringing the gap down, not massively.
It's tyre phases, I reckon. It's like, how good, easy are you on your tyres?
Yeah. And this will be doing Sky the world of good at the minute, because it means he can just go that little further into that pit window and pit later and have even fresher tyres over the other drivers. And that could be the massive key at the end of this race of who has got the fresher tyre. Alby's dropped off the back of Dan a little bit. Mike Matthews, yellow flag. So he's had another moment again and he's stationary as everybody goes past.
You try to spin it around and... Of course, now the tyres are going to be screaming at you because they're going to be.
And you're coming into the S's. They're going to be screaming at you. Benny's right up the rear wing now of Tobias Hofer. So Ben just started. He can't get past him, can he?
He can't seem to make his way past. He's having a look. He's got a better turning than the BM, but the BM's just got more grunt.
Yeah, just pulls out the corner a bit better than the McLaren.
Ben's trying to got 2 wheels off the track now, trying to probably cool the car down.
Yeah, just come out the clear air, somewhere where the marbles aren't forming just as bad yet.
No, but
there you go, look. Creates also that wider opening going into the hairpin corner. And now for Ben, he's right to go, look, once up the rear wing of Tobias Hofer. What's happened to Clouden? Because that gap is down to half a second out front. Pit window opens 37.5 minutes. We'll go back to the battle between Ben and Hofer. We'll keep our eyes on that gap of Alex, Power and Clouden. Wesley's extended his gap over Overtaker.
And Overtaker's only 2.5 seconds in front of Clouden, so...
I think Clouden's possibly made a mistake somewhere. Mike's in the pit lane. Has Mike returned to the pit lane here? I believe Mike has returned to the pit lane. So I think Mike then has returned to the pit lane in this race. As Ben now right on the back of De Hoffner, but he's not on the right side of him to look into turn 1. Is he possibly going to think of tucking underneath? No. Goes the long way round. Still can't get it done. He's just not able to do anything here, is Ben, at the minute. He's there and on the back and having a look, but just can't get past.
See, through these twisty bits, because I'm watching the Alex Clouden battle, this is where Clouden pulls away a little bit from Alex, because the McLaren's better through the corners. But in a second, we'll be on to where horsepower is king. And that V8 in that Aston has quite a bit.
It does. Ben has lost out through the twisty section of the circuit. And Ben's dropped off the back a little bit. Ramey on the back of Harris still. They've managed to drop Flem speed 1, but they've all started to stretch out a little bit. Dan's with Eccles and has actually dropped Richard Beasley at the time being as well. PN. So Dan's closer to Eccles now than what Beasley is to him. And Alex has dropped off the back of Clouden. Clouden's brought the gap back down to Overtaker. Overtaker's 5 seconds behind Wesley. So at the minute, Wesley looking for another race win. That'll be 3 and 4 races. What a shame that this week, or as from this week for him and Ben, this will be their drop scores.
Mike just said what's happened in chat. Yes, it was his fault on Harris and couldn't get started due to the tyres being cooked. Pointless risking a dodgy lap, indeed. better to return to the pits and wait for 2 minutes than it is to... At least your tyres will be cold again. The heat has got a bit of damage on the front end of his McLaren.
We're currently watching the Dan Davis Michael Eckholt battle here. Up in towards turn 1. Dan looking. No, not thinking of making a move though yet.
Not yet, but maybe once the window opens, pit straight away and get...
Well, Dan was the one in race 1 that went to pretty much the very end of the pit window, wasn't he? He went so long. Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Alex is now in a bit cleaner air, I should think, so he's probably cooling the car, but Clouden is getting closer to Overtaker.
Yeah, he is indeed. Pacina has got in great all over the back of him. That is for position.
Clouden's on Overtaker.
Right, so the gap's not updated since the thing has. Overtaker made a mistake somewhere, as Clouden is now right on him.
As he come down the back straight, but I don't know, well, no, it doesn't have a straight that's not really straight because there's a little kink in it. A bit like Carl Army's start-finish line. Yeah, so maybe Overtaker's put wheel on the curb. Maybe
he's done something. Yeah, that's what I was thinking just then.
Track limits, probably. He might be on
possibly. Did he slow down because of track limits? Maybe just taking a bit too much curb somewhere. Who knows? Let's wait and see.
Because the one thing you do not want is a drive-through, and here the track limits are.
Yeah, and if you get a drive-through, the time you lose for a drive-through is 29 seconds. So it's not the end of the world, but, you know, it's bad enough.
But your tyres might thank you because they get a chance to cool down a little bit.
Exactly, and they'll get a chance to cool down a lot more than what they would full race speed down the straight. So Overtaker's on the back of Cloud now. Alex Power, you see, they're getting closer as well. Dan is no longer with Michael Eckholt, really. That gap's just over a second. As that is Mike Matthews, I believe, in front of them. That's Mike. It's Mike in front. Then it's Richard Beasley within 9/10. Sky Schundermeyer still around the same margin. Ben's got past Tobias Hoffert. So he must have done that this lap.
Yeah, he's finally gone past him. Can he catch Russell? Gary's Motorsport Porsche in front of him, and not.
Well, we've not really mentioned Gary in this race, and for Gary, his tyres could be in such a good window that he could probably go to the end of the pit window.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of damage on the front end of his car. Looking at that, it's a little scuffed.
Oh, Pacina's got a lot of damage.
But Gary's got nobody around him.
Yeah. He's in clear air. 5 seconds behind, 6 seconds to Sky in front. Clouden still within half a second of Overtaker here.
Yeah, I think Overtaker might have cooked his tyres early.
Cooked his tyres, made a mistake. He was dropping off the back of Wesley, so I don't think he's cooked his tyres. Made a mistake, I do think he possibly has, though.
Or he's very close to track limits.
Or that one.
But what was the record last season? Once someone got drive through with the track limits within the first 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Not sure.
That was at Mazzano, I think.
It wasn't Mazzano. Not 100% know what the record was. Can have a look at Tibbs. Tibbs is on 2. You can see that one. Dan's on 2. They're the only 2 people that I can see on Twitch at the moment.
Yeah, so the pit window opens in a minute, so who's going to be first callers?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Will it be someone down towards the back straight as well? Dan's really close to Echo once more. Clouden's lost time to Overtaker at the back end of this lap. So Dan within 3/10 now of Michael Eckholt. And in fact, Richard Beasley's got past both of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's happened, but Richard Beasley has got past the pair of them. And Mike Matthews is way down, so did something happen?
Did Dan make a move and they ran wide? And
there's the first drive-through. That is GT Jimbo. Oh.
And this time he has to swerve it, because
And he's gone straight on at the final corner there, is GT Jimbo.
So there's the first one.
Yeah. That is number one, racked up. Oh, Smokey and Flem, they were very slow through the final corner. Smokey looked like you're having a slide or a moment himself.
So, yeah, that...
Excuse me.
The drinking game continue. Take a shot, everyone gets to drive through the track limits around COTA.
Take us back to a second ahead of Clouden. Pit window now opens. Nobody got around in time. Wesley could pit now and, you know... He'd probably be better off waiting.
And Jimbo's just been disqualified.
Jimbo's been disqualified, so that is no points for GT Jimbo in this race. So that's one Mike can finish in front of.
He did a Max Mulder yesterday. He probably want a beer. Did you see that with Max?
Yeah.
After he got disqualified, he just cracked open a beer and just sat there watching. I believe he's gone to see the Dutch Grand Prix at Assetto this weekend for MotoGP. So much motorsport on in the summer. But more importantly, this weekend, Spa 24.
Yeah, Formula 1 at Red Bull Ring, Spa 24. Nikita having a look, Gray having a look on Harris, nearly clips the back of him.
Their car's a bit too similar. Oh, Gray's around.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He did go in quite deep. Dan Davis stays out, as does Echo. In fact, Dan's got past Echo. And he's now got Tibbs in company. Gary straight in. Ben straight in. Tobias will stay out. What about insert coin? What will he do?
So, yeah, Mike straight in.
Not surprised. May as well get it out the way. Piscina straight in. That is no surprise there either. Michael Harris stays out. Ian Gray, I assume we're going to see in. Yeah, in comes Ian Gray.
Yeah, those Pirellis are done. So,
Nikita's in, Ramey's in, Flem's in. They're all in then down the back end of the pack. And it's Dan Davis pulling away from Eckholt, trying to get on the back of Richard Beasley once again. Cloudon's back within 7 tenths of Overtaker, so Overtaker just making a few mistakes here every now and again.
He is, yeah, and... Well, when the car behind's pretty much the same as yours, other than colour and setup, what can you do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That is it.
Because it's got the same strengths and the same weaknesses. And the car in front of this race as well is also another McLaren, with Alex in P4 and Yaston. And Beasley must have pulled a blinder when he got in front of both Echo.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what happened there in that one, but let's see. Cloudon's lost a bit of time. Dan Davis still on the back of Beasley, 7 tenths. Gary and Ben have done their stop, so's Flem and Mike. Flem's going to jump a few cars here.
Sky's caught up the back of Echo.
Yeah, Tibbs is there. He was closer, so he's lost a bit of time, but he is still there.
As Kuiper stays out, Overtaker has stayed out. Overlooking things. Well, the top 4 so far. Yeah, well, Sky stays out. They're probably going to try and get to the halfway point and then pit, because if you're changing tyres, you want them fresher earlier.
Well, they've all come out as drivers are leaving the pit lane here. Tobias stays out. Naval, insert coin, stays out. What about Harris?
In the golf-coloured BMW.
He's going to stay out as well. Ben's got ahead of Gary Leach. Gary doesn't look like he's repaired his front-end damage, and Ben's got ahead of him. And now Cloudon's right up the chuff of Overtaker.
Is Cloudon going to go for it as they come into the hairpin onto the back straight? Overtaker's looking a little tiny bit slidey. Not much though. Overtaker moves over to defend. Cloudon follows him in the slipstream. So Taker goes back to the racing line, which he's allowed to do. as he turned into the start of the Hockenheim section in reverse. Meanwhile, watching this is Alex in the Aston thinking, come on. They're fair way in front of Beasley. Because Beasley clattered the curve on the exit.
Yeah, he did. Alex just can't seem to get close, though, can he, Phil? Peony, he's just. I called you your actual name there. He's there without gaining anything, isn't he? Without doing a massive amount.
It's just. I think if I was Clouden, I'd try pitting now to undercut Overtaker.
Yeah, I'd possibly look for the undercut. The undercut we saw was strong in race 1. He's chose not to pit. Alex hasn't either. What about Richard and Dan? Dan's a bit closer than that 1 second, I would assume. Richard's no.
Thought about it.
I'd have thought maybe selling the Dan the dummy didn't work. Sky and Eckholt stay out. Tobias Hoff and Navel. And Ben is cleared Gary by 3 seconds. Ben is well away at the moment. And Mike Matthews is actually on the same lap as Smokey, but Smokey will come across the line now. And they're all a lap down to the leader.
Hoffa stays out.
Yeah, insert coin comes in. What about Harris? So Mike has actually managed to get himself, because that long pit stop for Smokey, on the same lap, he's just a long way behind.
Yeah. So the closest battle now on track, other than between Gray and Pacina, is between Clouden and Overtaker.
It's between Dan and Richard Beasley.
And Flem's just getting out of the way because he's been getting blue flags. Corbett's sun's getting low now.
It is getting low. Is that Pacina just in front having a look up the rear wing of Ian Gray, while behind Dan's having a look up the inside of Beasley. Beasley managed to get it stopped and turned in. And Dan carries on his merry way once again.
He is, but he's trying to fill the middle of the Beasley.
And with all of this, Michael Eckholt's coming, but he's not bringing Tibbs with him.
No, Dan's having a look. Oh, don't miss your breaking point, Dan.
So Dan pretty close. Let's have a look at Gray and Pacina. Pacina got past Gray. Sad is that move done.
God, that Mustang does look like a handful, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. Here is Richard Beasley. We've now got Echo on the back of Dan. Tibbs back to normal.
Kuiper's in the pits.
So Chris is asking in the chat what a drop score is. So the lowest round that driver scores for the season between week 1 and 10 will be their drop score. It will be their lowest total of the season. Obviously, seen as Ben and Wesley came in last week, this week will be their effective drop score. For the likes of Eckholt, next week will be his effective drop score because he only signed up as of this week. So effectively, your drop score is your lowest round of points is dropped as from when you signed up. So if he scores, if for example, if Ben scores more points than last week, then last week will be his drop round. If not, this week will be. Drivers have already obviously had their drop rounds, who's been here since the start of the season. We've got Wesley, Overtaker and Clouden in. Alex leads this race from Richard Beasley, Dan Davis, Michael Eckholt, Sky Schundelmeyer, Tobias Hoffer stays out, and Michael Harris is also going to stay out on track then.
Ooh, Overtake. Kuiper's changed tyres, Overtaker hasn't. Look at the gap between the cars coming out the pits.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree.
Changed tyres. Because there was about, what, 7 seconds between them beforehand?
Yeah.
Before they came into pits. So, yeah, that's a tyre change.
So, Overtaker, has he changed tyres or has he not? Drive-through penalty, Ramy Fernie.
Yeah,
well, it's only a 29-second loss. And Mike's a little more than 29 seconds behind, but every little helps. Dan losing out a bit to Richard Beasley now. Eckholt losing out a bit to Dan as that sun is really blinding in the cockpit of these cars. But Overtake, like you say, pretty much 5 seconds clear of Clouden and right up the rear wing of Wesley Kuiper then. So interesting to see Overtaker not going for the change of tyres. How much is that going to hurt him come the end of this race, PN?
Oh, I reckon that might hurt him quite a lot because That is about the time game. Alex is pitted now. He's pulling into the pit lane now. He was on the anchors then to slip that stopped.
He's got a good gap to Richard Beasley, hasn't he? As Alex Powell.
Beasley comes in.
Yeah, Beasley's in. Dan Davis stays out. Eckholt comes in, as does Sky Schundelmeyer. Track still 35 degrees.
But the shadows are getting longer, and the sun is...
Yeah, you see the lights are getting brighter as well. Which, by the way, great to see the fact that we can now see Xbox lights.
Yeah, well, who did all that testing to see if you can see them?
I say that as we go on to Michael Harris. He's not got his lights on, neither has Ben. So maybe you can't see the Xbox lights as well. Because they're not turned on. Harris, does he pit as Tobias Hoffer came in? Harris will stay out. Now, interestingly, he's going to stay out ahead of all the runners who have pitted. Smokey's also in for his drive-through. Overtaker's lost out a bit of time to Wesley. But I reckon if Wesley's got fresher tyres on, that'll be why. Where's Mike?
Yeah.
Mike is Hockenheim section. And Smokey's just come out the pit lane.
Alex was moving, so...
Yep, so's Richard Beasley. Eckholt is as well, as is Sky. Wesley's through, Overtaker's through, Cloudon's... Oh, I tell you what, I think he's a bit closer to Cloudon.
He is a bit closer to Cloudon and...
So did Alex change tyres?
Possibly, possibly not. We won't ever know. Did Cloudon change tyres? Because he's a bit further off the back of Overtaker.
Yeah, I think Cloudon changed tyres because he was well off the back. And they're slowly bringing that gap down.
And next week we go to we'll have some bank corners. Okay, they've added a bit since F1 used to run there, because let's not talk about 2005 or US Grand Prix, shall we? Where only 6 cars raced. All the Bridgestone runners, because Michelin's kept on and bang.
I reckon I've left the kitchen window open. I've just heard the door go bang. Dan Davis then, what is he going to do as he comes round towards the final couple of corners then? Is he going to pit this lap? It's going to be the big question. No real battles happening on circuit. Dan is coming in.
He is coming in. Oh, give us stop, Dan.
Nearly hit the pit wall. Overtaker's back within a second of Wesley. So, did Overtaker change tyres?
I think he did. I don't think Overtaker did. As Harris is the last person to stop, it means what pretty much got to do at this lap if he wants to get round.
Yeah, he's got to pit this lap. That's why Dan pitted this lap. And if they change tyres, are they going to be on some fresh rubber at the end of this race?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you've got the sprint race distance to go on them, haven't they? A little bit further.
Yeah, a little bit further. So Dan in the pits, he was behind Richard Beasley, who's 1.3 clear of Eckholt, who's dropped Sky, to be fair. Sky's 5.4 behind him. So Tibbs not able to stick with him.
So that's,
Dan's now away.
Harris.
Dan's been dropped. Beasley's into the final corner. No, they don't have to turn the lights on, Chris. It's not a night race, so they aren't forced to turn the lights on.
That'd be their first.
I believe the game will tell you that you need to turn your lights on. That is when you need to turn your lights on.
Oh, Beasley just jumped down in the pits.
He did. He did. Dan nearly clipped the rear of him. So that is as it was then. That extra lap for Dan didn't do a lot, but what it has done is it's gave him a bit fresher rubber. No real battles out there on the circuit at the moment.
If Dan changed.
I do believe Mike is actually still a lap down. I think Dan changed, yeah. So Hypetech saying that he's lost time, did Cloudon in the pits. Don't forget, if you are new here, hit that thumbs up button, the bell to be notified, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Hypetech, did Cloudon change tyres?
Pit lane reporter, John Gooday. Overtaker's trying to keep with...
Dan's weaving his tyres here. Dan's just been trying to weave the tyres down the back straight.
Oh. I Tell you what, these two McLarens were fun. As I said, never count out Overtaker. Never ever count out Overtaker. Yeah, this is close for P5. Because Eckholt's there with them, and if they start battling a lot, that brings Sky back into it.
Clouden did change his tyres. Yeah, if they're all battling, it could bring Sky back in, who's 5 seconds back at the moment. Ben in the 9th place. Ben's had a good comeback drive in this race.
He has, because bear in mind he didn't set a qualifying lap.
Yeah, exactly.
So, kid's got pace.
Yeah, the young lad has got pace. Clouden 4 seconds off the back. Overtaker's now 1.3 off the back of Wesley. So that is changing there. And Dan's now under pressure from Michael instead of putting the pressure on Richard Beasley.
Yeah, let's have a look further down, see what's happening. Gray's all on his own in no man's land.
Yeah, no real battles. This is the closest fight on track, Dan and Eckholt. Kind of just spaced out over the back end of this race.
Well, there is, what, 8 cars less than there was last night in Berlin? Yeah,
but, you know, the strategies of tyres haven't seemed to come into play. Like, look, Overtaker, yes, he's lost time to Kuiper, but he's gained time over Clouden.
Yeah, but apparently Clouden also made a mistake in his pit stop, what John was saying.
Love that. Well done, Chris. Well done, Chris. Love that. Fantastic. 7 tenths of a second is this one here. Ben, 3.9 off the back of Sky. Ben's bringing the gap down to Schundelmeyer.
Yeah, so... I'm not going to say what I used to be like when I was 14. That was a long time ago now.
Yep, same here. Not as long as yours, but yeah, still same here. There you go, Tony. Eckholt is 0.666 behind Dan.
Kick.
And a bit of a battle on here. Pacina and Flem Speed 1 going at it. I'm seeing look around the outside, can't do anything. What was you going to say about Overtaker for PM?
He's trying to close the gap on Kuiper. He's getting the car nice and broad, sliding up through the corners, which is very pad-esque.
Well, he's lost 3 tenths of a second doing that, but gained 3 tenths over Clouden, so hasn't seemed to work for him at the minute.
Alex is getting held up by Smokey. Smokey should just pull over because of blue flags.
Oh, Pacina gets a great run underneath. Flem Speed 1 has to tuck back in behind.
Yeah, Smokey runs right in turn 1 to Alex through.
Exactly, that is the problem. 14 in a school night. Thank God it's the summer holidays soon. Pacina on the outside line of Flem Speed 1. I think he's already going to have the move done. Flem Speed turns in, and that Porsche just lacking in a straight line here.
Tell you what, who's having a quiet race, really?
We've not really seen. Yeah, well,
Gary.
We've not really seen. Race 2, race 1 he was brilliant. Race 2, he's just kind of been there.
It's normally race 2 where he goes better. But then again, though, is he a fan of COTA?
No, and he'll hate me for saying this, but the start of a Formula 1 race. Decided to take out Green Pies, if you remember that name from back in the day, and a driver called Just Jose. And some may have called it team tactics, because I went on to win the race for Racing Point, but Gary just missed his brakes by an absolute country mile. And yeah, that was quite funny. It was quite funny. But he had a quiet one. Dan's pulled away from Eckholt again. Tibbs had a pretty quiet one. Ben's had a quiet night. Tobias had a pretty quiet night, to be fair. Harris climbed up the order but not done anything since. I believe Mike is on the same lap as Ramy and Nikita now. But obviously they're just starting the next laps. So,
yeah. Ramy's on the road behind Alex. And we're now dropped to 34 degrees track temp. So.
Yeah, that's where it got last night. It was at this stage last night where it all went horribly wrong. So touch wood, folks, that we all stay in. Although we're nearly at 3/4 distance, so this would be the classification with everybody pitted. If we did have a mass disconnection, and it would be full points.
Fingers, toes, everything crossed, but we don't have a mass disconnection this time. Because I did see it in Pro-Am because I was lurking in the chat like normal. I saw, and obviously Discord started pinging saying, "Oh, how many drivers have been disconnected?"
Yeah.
But it looked like G-Portal just decided to have an off day.
Oh, being told that Tibbs and Beasley are both on 3 track cuts, so it's a tense last 20 minutes. That's what we're being told by Micro J's on Discord, our pit lane reporter.
Ooh.
I believe I saw Dan on 2 as well, so Dan must still be on 2. What about Mike Matthews then? Obviously, not really going to hurt his race down the pack, as we're on board. Mike Matthews actually here. Bit of screen time for Mike. There you go, Mike. Stuck it out, kept it going, got to the end of this race. That's the most important thing.
Always finish the race because you still score points.
And you don't get a qualifying ban.
This guy's just not tracking.
Yeah, well, there we go. So it was a tense 20 minutes. Well, it's been a tense 3 minutes because he's now got the drive-through penalty. That'll help. So if you lose 29 seconds... Did say 29, yeah? Yes, it did. So that will allow Gary, Ben... that'll be about possibly insert coin, maybe Tobias Hoffer. So we could lose 4-5 places here. Could Sky Schundelmeyer. And he's had Ben catching him for a while. Maybe that's why he's had Ben catching him, because he's had them track limits.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Taker is closing the gap again on Piper.
Yep, gained it 4 tenths. Cloud had also caught him as well. So
it's the elastic band syndrome.
And then it's gone back up 3 tenths. Clouden caught Taker though, but Overtaker lost out to Wesley. Do we think this is why Dan's maybe not getting close to Richard Beasley? Dan's obviously on 2 track limits with Richard on 3.
Possibly. Difficult to say.
Yeah, it is. Tibbs straight in, wants as long as he can after his drive through to attack the other cars. So here comes Ben. This will put him into the top 8.
Tell you what, this will help Tibbs' tyres cool down and come back to life a little bit.
Here comes Gary. That'll put Gary into the top 9. Insert coin. We're just going to go on these as we see them pass the dot. And it is great to see parents supporting in sim racing. It's fantastic to see. So Tibbs coming towards the end of the pit lane. Or Schundelmeyer is. There goes insert coin. Tobias Hoffer too far back.
Yeah. Well, my dad don't get it. But then again, no. He's of that age, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. A bit of a battle happening here. Closest fight on the track. Ian Gray and Nikita. So the 2 teammates having a little squabble. And Gray has let Nikita go. So that's that one.
On Beasley. I think Beasley's then taking it easy not to get another track limit. Because already the FBR junior drivers got DQ'd for track limits. So
yeah, Beasley's got 1 more cut to his name. Dan's got I believe it was 2 last time I looked.
Right, that's easy. It's that time of year. Cheaper than the real thing. That's debatable. That is actually debatable. Depends what you want to do in motorsport. There's these things called auto tests. They're great fun, and he can do them now. At 14. I recommend an Nissan Micro or Mini, proper Mini. They are in a car club and we do this sort of thing. Well, I used to before everything that happened.
Dan's within 6 tenths of a second now of Richard Beasley. So Beasley's coming. Dan's coming on Beasley.
And
7 tenths of the gap now.
Smokey gonna come into play.
Taker's gap's back to 1.8. Cloudon's got that down to 4.2. I reckon this is where Taker's tyres are possibly starting to go.
Yeah. And I don't know why I was pointing at Smokey's car. You can't see me point. It's not like we're in an actual commentary box at the circuit and you can point at the monitors. No, they're doing it. Oh, Ben's on. I think Ben's lost time to Coin. Because Coin's passed.
Yeah, And Gary's passed because he was behind. He was ahead of Gary as well. So you're right there, yeah. Not sure what's happened to Ben. Oh, that could be a track cut from Dan. He was all over the curb there. And he's within 4/10 now of Beasley. Sure, Jay will give us some more information when he can find it. But Beasley's got to be careful. Dan might have to be careful. But Dan wants that extra position because he's going to lose points to Alex and Clouden.
And if you look in front, there's Smokey Black Carlos, Raimi Fernie.
Yeah. Dan's going side by side with Richard Beasley now. He's going to have the inside line coming down into the hairpin at the bottom of the straight.
Does he
Ben had a spin. That's what we're being told. And Beasley round the outside. Keeps hold of it. Ben had a spin. That's what we're being told in the chat. So Ben will have to let him tyres cool down a little bit. But Dan now putting the pressure on Richard Beasley.
He is, and now they're right behind Smokey's Mustang. And
Ian Gray's lost out to Flem Speed 1, so I'm not sure what's happened to Ian Gray tonight.
Maybe he misses his M4 from last season.
Yeah, possibly so. Smokey stays wide and out the way. Richard Beasley is through. Dan's giving Smokey a flash of the lights. Nothing Smokey could do there. He's mid-corner by the time Dan got to him, and he's now moved off the line. And in fact is going to pit. So Smokey, well, whatever Smokey's in for, this could help Mike out.
Let's stretch the gap between Dan and Beasley for now.
Yeah, so allow Beasley to have a bit of a breather. Overtaker's now 2 seconds off the back of Wesley Kuiper. Clouden's within 3.7. So Clouden's getting a little closer to Overtaker here.
I don't think Alex changed tyres because Clouden is dropping Alex. It's now nearly 10 seconds.
Yeah, I agree.
That is definitely looking like Alex didn't change his tyres then.
3.7 this gap. Who knows?
As you can see,
and who knows what laps Mike is on, because he's 2 laps down to the leader while everybody else is 1 lap down. So I think Mike needs another lap over Smokey in this race. And Dan's back to 1.2. No, he's not, because that's a lot closer to 1.2 PN.
He's back on him. Did Dan change tyres then?
Must have. Did Richard?
We don't know. I'm sure one of the FPR boys who are in chat will say if he changed tyres or not. But Dan is back on him, so that is definitely... I reckon that is rubber related.
We'll find out soon. Clouden's took another 3/10 in the last sector out of Overtaker. Gray's on 3, Mike's on 3, Dancel on 2, and Harris is also on 3.
Oh, keep an eye on Rainey, because he's done 75% of the race, but...
Yeah, but is that another retirement? He'll score points, but is it a retirement? Mike is on the same lap as Raimi now and could manage to get a couple more points, but we also could get some other drivers on the track limit. So Dancel on 2, Harris 3, Mike 3, Gray 3, Beasley on 3. So Dan can push out a little bit harder than Beasley, knowing he's got 2 track limits in hand, effectively.
He can, yeah. Oh, Clouden's within 3 seconds of Overtaker.
He is, and Overtaker's now 3.3 behind Wesley, so I think the tyres have just started to drop off a cliff, because that is half a second he's just took out of Overtaker there.
The tyres are meant to be good for like an hour's stint, but not in this heat.
Not in this heat, no. Not in this heat. That's the biggest problem.
Maybe in a nice cool Spa-Francorchamps in the autumn they might last the hour, or maybe longer. But a hot day in Texas desert?
Not a chance. Nah. Where's Mike? Mike's coming up to the start line. So we'll see at Sector 1 if Mike gets past Raimi. I believe he will this time around. Dan's within 7/10. There's Overtaker, though. We're on board him now. And there's Clouden. That gap is 2.7. So only 2/10 this sector. But still a couple of tenths in it.
But this is there where all the newer tyres are going to grip more through these corners.
Exactly. Dan's giving Richard Beasley a flash. And you'll be able to see not just the lights, but the flashing as well.
that's more of a distraction thing, maybe, because, you know, it's the touring car tactic for those who... Mike has moved ahead of Rayleigh.
Yep, there we go. So Mike up another place. So Ramey might have himself another qualifying ban. That is going to, though, be points for 19th place.
Yeah. As Ben is now 2 seconds off.
Cloudon's lost a 10th to Overtaker.
But Dan is all over Beasley.
This is the only fight to watch at the moment. But he's just not close enough to mount a challenge.
No, as final 7:20 minutes. That's not a real minute. 7 minutes 20.
Cloudon not really any change there.
A lot of time.
No, we only went to 2.7. It stayed at 2.8 over the last 2 sectors. So has Cloudon had a few problems?
Scruffy lap, maybe, you know, or close to track limits himself.
Yeah, possibly. Ian Gray's gaining on the back of Flem Speed 1. Let's go down and take a look at that fight. Different bit of scenery down here. Would have had many battles last season in Pro-Am with these two. Except it would have been BM versus Porsche, not McLaren.
Yeah. Dan's behind Beasley on the flasher a little bit. It could be the camera angles though, making his lights look like they're flashing. Because I've noticed these COTA cameramen on their camera angles are a bit.
Yeah, they're not great.
They are a little bit iffy. Oh, Dan's having a look, trying to get the undercut into the hairpin by coming wide. Can he do it?
Since on board Dan and Richard Beasley now, we'll go back to that Gray and Flem fight a little later on.
I'll keep an eye on that fight.
And Dan Davis, lights on, but can't challenge Beasley enough at the moment. Gap down to 2.6 between Cloudon and Overtaker. So was it necessarily Cloudon having a bad lap or Overtaker having a good lap?
Possibly, as Flem's close to track limits then. I believe they got the race leader coming up behind them to lap them. Here they have as well, so...
Yeah, they have.
Keep an eye on for the flag.
Well, let's go down to that fight, because they're a bit closer than what Dan is now. Cloudon's under 2 seconds, so he's took a good chunk out to take it. Is it too little, too late for Cloudon, though?
Oh, possibly. Hard to say, you know, with 5 minutes to go. That's, what, 3 laps, roughly? About
Yeah,
3 laps?
depending.
Meanwhile, Gray and Flem have got the race leader nearly on them. He's on them through the
yeah, he is.
and Beckett's.
He is. And Gray yields. Yep, Gray's yielded.
The race straight away as soon as he saw him behind him.
Doesn't want any part of that, does he?
Oh, he nearly hit him on the brakes. Oh. Flem's move is that Flem moving over to let through the race leader?
It is, yeah. It is, yep. So Flem pulling out the way in this race.
They can resume their battle. Casina's had quite a quiet race this second half.
He has, yeah. Not really seen much of him since the pit stops. Cloudon's down to 1.4. I think it's only going to be 2 laps after this left in this race. Maybe even... No, there probably will be 2. Next one in the final. So Cloudon will want to be getting the hurry up. Dan's now back to 8 tenths.
Even though that looks close to me. I was about to say...
Oh, it is now, yeah. It's 2 tenths, yeah. So Dan's got a little closer.
Wish for time and score and updated as you were going around, not every sector.
Yeah.
That'd be a much nicer feature, wouldn't it? Being able to actually see what's happening. Live timing. Meanwhile, just jumped the Cloudon, he's within 2.3. of overtaker. Dan's going to be sick of the sight of that back end of that
Be able
Ferrari.
to paint us a pretty picture, won't he? Cloudon's within 1.2 of overtaker.
As Tracy's saying, she's Sky's #1 fan.
Tibbs had a good night. Sky's had a good night.
He had a good night, just shame about the track limits. But
Yeah.
around here, they are strict. I tell you what, it's places at Indy you won't get track limits because there's a wall. If you go past that track limits where the wall is, you're going to have a broke car. Meanwhile, Dan is still all over the back of Beasley. He's trying everything. He's got the magnets on anyway, but they don't work on cars.
Yeah, they're just not. He's just not coming. He's just not getting close enough. Cloudon's lost a 10th to overtaker. Dan's just not getting close enough. We've got Harris right up the rear wing of Tobias Hoffert as the darkness is starting to descend on this American circuit.
Yeah, it is descending, and Cloudon's just got past Flem, so both him and Overtaker are past the lap cars. So we've got a couple of battles. Dan. Oh, car 17.
Richard Beasley. Oh, there we go.
Beasley.
The pressure from Dan.
That's it.
So Dan can take that easy, and Beasley might lose out to Eckholt as well. Leaders on the final lap. So Beasley's pushed too hard and got himself a drive-through penalty at the very end of this race.
Look at Cloudon on the overtaker.
Yeah, half a second. We was just watching the fight there between Harris and Hoffert. Flem's trying to come back on Ian Gray. Whoa, that was close on the closing speed there from Jamal Cloudon.
Well, he's got more grip than Taker. That's got to be closing better, isn't it? Be interesting to see what they say in the interviews where I have to disappear for a second. Oh, well, yeah, we know about that track limit penalty, so and it would just be 30 seconds. You might as well just drive around.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So you actually lose an extra second.
Yeah.
Because it's only 29 for a drive-through. But this is the battle for second place at the moment between Overtaker and between Jamal Cloudon. We got Dan on the back of Richard Beasley. In fact, Dan's past Richard Beasley now. So he's finally got the move done after he's got the drive-through penalty.
Yeah. So, Overtaker trying to defend with Cloudon right on him. It's
been a good little race this, and hats off to Overtaker if he's managed to not change tyres.
They must be red by now. Where? Must be.
Well, it's going to be Wesley, who looks like he's going to come home to take another race when he's around in the Istanbul section of the circuit. He's been fantastic in this one. The question now is, though, is it Overtaker or Cloudon for P2 and 3? Here comes Wesley Kuiper then. Great victory once again. It's his third race win. Obviously, drop scores will come in for him today, but Wesley Kuiper, race win for him. And Overtaker looks like, PM, that he's going to hang on in there at the very end from that of Cloudon. So great job there.
Very quiet fourth for Alex.
Yeah, very quiet fourth.
Yeah, I don't believe he changed tyres either, so...
Dan Davis going to come around for P5. And for Richard Beasley, it's going to be a case of where will he end up. But good start already. Ian Gray finishes 16th. Nikita finishes 17th. So Richard Beasley P6, but it might go then the way of Eckholt. And you never know, Gary Leach might get another place here. So Gary Leach might go up to P7.
Very quiet night for Gary. Barely saw him.
Yeah, very quiet night. Insert coin comes across for P9. Ben is going to take P10.
That spin probably made his tyres just go, yeah, I've had enough now.
Sky Schundelmeyer is going to be the next driver across the line before Tobias Hoffer, who had a good race himself.
He did, yeah.
In fact, no, he's actually been passed, actually, looking at that. He's been passed by Michael Harris.
And he ran wide in the final corner.
So he's been passed by Michael Harris, Tobias Hoffer, and then we just waited for Piscina and Nikita then.
Yeah.
So the Ford Mustang will come home to take some more points. Driver of the day poll is out.
Yep. Well,
Piscina comes to the line for P14, and Nikita will come to the line for P15. And Richard Beersley did drop behind Gary Leach as well. So Gary comes home for 7th place. Eckholt will come and get 6th. Ben in that race 10th, then misses out by 0.3 of a second. Ben misses out by. Alex Power was 4th. We know Insert Coin gets 8th. Sky Schundelmeyer then will stay 11th. Tobias Hoffer 13th. M. Harris 12th. And Richard Beersley 9th place then. Right, we are just going to change over to the Discord party channel, where we'll do the interviews in there so we can try and get some of the Xbox joiners in. So give while we just mute the audio, and we'll be back on the Discord channel in 2 moments. Able to hear us now, please tell us in the comments if you cannot hear us. We do have some drivers in the commentary box already, and we will start with the driver from the first race. Dan's mic is currently on mute, so hopefully if Dan Davis unmutes his mic, we can speak with Dan Davis. Dan, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant, and we have you as well. Hopefully the chat will be able to get us both as well. Very interesting race one we'll talk of first. It was a strategy that got you in that 2nd place, because the Lamborghini just looked like it didn't have outright pace tonight.
No, this car felt horrible here. Nothing felt right, nothing felt good, and it was literally just stay out of trouble. The only thing that the Lamborghini had that I think the others struggled with was tyre wear. It was so good on tyre wear. It was stable pretty much for most of the race. So I just used that to advantage, just used the clean air once again, but the opposite way round to Brands, and just, yeah, not sure what happened with Alex. I think I had a lag spike and he was literally in my door. I don't know why he chose to get that close, but obviously because of my lag spike, he then obviously hit me and it came off worse. So apologies to Alex, but to be honest, there was no need to be that close. This track's very, very wide, so I don't know if he was getting a side draft or what, but yeah, I mean, I did the best I could tonight. The Lamborghini was horrible, and I could see the boys in front gone. So, yeah,
so
best I could do.
You're saying that Alex hit the side of your car?
Yeah. So as we went down the back straight, he was literally right next to me. You literally can, walk past the cars, let alone anything. And as I had the lag spike, obviously I'm bouncing around, and then he gets collected and he moves in front, and it's just, what can I do at that point? So
yeah.
If he was further away, he probably would have got the job done. I would have backed off because I had a lag spike, but he chose to get that close. So it is what it is.
Is what it is. Like you say, Lamborghini struggle around here. Race 2, pretty much more of the same, wasn't it? It was just try and pick up as many points as you can. You had a cracking fight with Eckholt and Beasley throughout that race, and I don't want to say fortunate that Beasley got a drive through at the end, but you just couldn't seem to get close enough to mount a proper challenge.
Yeah, so the first incident was going with the new driver, Michael. We went into the left-hander. I tapped him ever so slightly on the rear, and that's how RB got past both of us. Obviously, I gave him the place back, and then, yeah, at that point, I should have stayed ahead, but RB just had the pace just to keep me there. We did the pit stops, and he pulled away with fresh tyres, but then again, I could see he was killing the tyres on the Ferrari, and I just started edging, and I'm so frustrated he got a drive-through. I was on my last warning as well, but he should have had that position. I don't know if he was racing me or not at the end, I don't know, but he should have really kept that position, but he just went a little bit too far with track limits. That's racing.
It is racing. We move to Indianapolis next week, a track that yourself and me have done an endurance race on, and it's a track that you like and enjoy. Do we think that we can go well there? Do we think the Lamborghini will be better suited to Indianapolis?
I hope so. I hope so. The Lamborghini is... it seems to like weird tracks. I don't know why. Snet, it was good. Brands, it was good. We're going to Indy, where there's a lot of straight, so I might struggle against the Mustang. But I've had good records at Indianapolis. Never really struggled with the circuit. I quite enjoy it, whether if it's the Indy version or the Grand Prix version. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Indianapolis. One of the best circuits that I think is on ACC, just for the actual like feel and comparison to other games. And yeah, we'll come back stronger, hopefully at Indianapolis. And I'll sort my stupid internet out.
Well, Dan, congratulations tonight. Best of luck next week at Indy.
Yeah, cheers, and well done to the McLaren boys. They were on it. I had no answer for them today, so well done to them.
And we can now speak with our P3 man from Race 2. That was Clouden. Clouden, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
He can indeed, and we've got Clouden loud and clear. Jamal, an interesting race there where you was sort of not on the pace of Overtaker or Wesley at the beginning, but then you seem to really rally to catch Overtaker at the end. Just talk us through the end of that race.
It was a bit of a weird race for me, to be honest. Tyres felt like they just started to go off really quick. But then out of nowhere, they just started to come back to life. I just started to get grip, and I was able to punch in quality laps to start closing that gap to Overtaker. I was struggling. I think everybody was, to be fair. That heat was a killer today.
Yeah, the heat was the biggest killer tonight. Was it a change of tyres in the pit stop for yourself? Because I've got to ask Overtaker the same question later on, but you seem to really have superior grip over him in that latter part of the race.
I did change tyres. I think I might have put on like a scrub set by accident. I was saying to my spotter that I just felt like I had no grip, but again, the tyres just started to come back into play, and I was just able to gain that time, as like I said. But yeah, I changed tyres in the pits.
It was a good race from yourself, though, really, proving that pace is there in the McLaren, and proving that you as well have seemed to have stepped up your game this season to really get to grips with this car and get to grips with everything that's being thrown at you. Obviously, we saw last year that there was pace had, but not sort of front-running pace. This year, you seem to have that pace, and you seem to be doing a lot with it.
Yeah, last season I was just taking it cautious because, again, I didn't want to make too many mistakes. I just wanted to get accustomed to everything and just find my feet. And now that I'm comfortable enough, I'm able to just go out there and just get my elbows out and start battling with people and just be at the front of the grid. So, yeah, pretty much I've just come out my shell a little bit.
Well, Jamal, congratulations tonight. Indianapolis next week. What do you think you can do around there?
Indy, I do like Indy. It is, as Dan said, it's a very decent track. Probably going to struggle against the Mustangs. I think the Mustangs are going to come into play. But overall, yeah, I'm feeling confident about Indy for sure.
Well, we can't wait to see you there, Jamal. Congratulations tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, thank you.
And last but not least, we can bring in Overtaker to the chat now. Overtaker, first of all, did you change tyres in that second race? Because Jamal really gained on you at the end.
I believe I did, but I'm not 100% sure because I've played quite a bit with my strategy on the run. I think I underfueled by a mile, so I had to change the strategy quite a lot, and I don't know if I changed tires or something because I misclicked a couple of times with the pressure behind, and I'm not sure because I jumped almost everybody in pits. Like gain a lot of time. I think me and Clouden went in at the same time, but I came in front with like 5 seconds, and I also catch P1 guy. So I think I may not have changed tires, but I'll have to check on my stream.
Either way, it was a good result for yourself. You managed to hang on to that P2 in the end in what was a pretty good race, really, for you. Obviously, coming into this one, didn't seem to have the outright pace, but good enough race pace to get a podium.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with my performance. Race 1, I got boxed in, and I think I did my max in that race. Race 2, my tire just started to go at the end of both stints, and I knew there was going to be pressure from Clouden at the end. But yeah, I managed to keep ahead, and I'm pleased with the result, yeah.
Yeah, pleased with the result. Points to pick up and points in the bag as well. Moving you up to P4 in the championship. We move to Indianapolis, though, next week. What can you do around there? Obviously, last time we'd have probably raced, that would have been Project Cars 2, but a different layout on Assetto Corsa. What can we do? Have you tried Indianapolis on this game yet? If so, how do you feel?
Not yet. Yeah, like you said, the last time I drove it was on Project Cars, so that's quite a long time ago. I have to remember it. If you said it's a different layout, I hope it's not too different. But I like the track from before, so but I don't know how the car is gonna go there, so it remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen, but thank you, Overtaker. We'll speak to you hopefully next week, and congratulations tonight on yet another podium to yourself.
Yeah, thanks, and congrats to Clouden. He really pushed me a lot.
Indeed, he did. And I believe now we can bring PN back in. Driver of the day, PN, from the audience goes the way of Eckholt. He takes a 37% vote on that driver of the day. And it's really been an interesting race, PN, in terms of what all these drivers have done. Your driver of the day and final thoughts.
Well, hopefully Indy's not going to be as hot for the tyres, but we never know with Indy, because it's quite a fair way inland, but further north. Driver of the day, well, on the vote, I voted Gary, because I think Gary's had a good night, to be honest, and the car at circuit that don't suit the Porsche, and he doesn't really like it.
Yeah, do you know what?
So yeah, I'm going to go with I'm going to go Gary.
I'm going to give it my teammate as well, or former teammate, should I say. I think Gary's had a good night in the Porsche, in a car that's a bit under, but honourable mentions, Overtaker, Dan, Eckholt, Kuiper, and to Clouden as well. As we move on then to Indianapolis going next week, then the championship standings look a little like this. It's Dan Davis who has a 36-point lead over Harris, and this is with the current drop scores up to date. Obviously, these results are provisional, and it will be looked at by the stewards, obviously, going into next week, and full tables will be published after over the weekend, if not into Monday, Tuesday. In fact, I think Dan posts them on the day of the race. So for you lucky viewers at home, keep an eye on the social media then. But it's Dan who leads by 36 points. Clouden is then a little back from Harris, with Overtaker sitting P4. Alex is in 5th with Gary Leach in P6. Richard Beasley's P7 with Sky Schundelmeyer 8th. Nikita's P9 with Insert Coin P10. Hoffer P11 with Pacina P12. Mike Matthews sits P13 ahead of Gary Burton. Wesley Kuiper, then Ian Gray. O'Reilly from GT Jimbo. Eckholt, Flem Speed 1. Mitra Cannon, Dennis Newman, Ben Ramey. Gary Klobel, Sauber. Simon Fuchs, Sullivan and Rosenberg we are yet to see this season. And in terms of that Constructors' Championship, well, it's Team FBR who are 12 points clear of SimPlay Racing. They are really putting their authority in this one now. Quantum Apex are 95 behind with Jaeger Motorsport, 130 behind in P4. Greasy Bandit a P5 with GK Racing P6, Effect Motorsport P7, and then it's BSP Racing Independent who are P8, FBR Junior Race Team who are Independent P9, FSO Racing Team Independent P10, and Smoky Racing P11. That, though, is all we have time for. Join myself and Dan Davis in the commentary box live next Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT, as well as make sure you join all of us live. Make sure you join me and Dan. Me and PN, and possibly a new commentator. We'll have to wait and see, live next Thursday for all the action there. We will see you next time, though. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.